Just started university, and my beautiful tutor turns out to be the mother of my child. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. Why is it him? Late at night. A bar in Yangchang. The crowd in the dance floor was shaking their bodies wildly, releasing the hormones that had been suppressed for a long time in their bodies. But Lin Feng was not in the mood to watch, because not long ago, he had just finished a college entrance examination and was admitted to Yangcheng University. In order to turn tuition for college, he came to this bar to work during the summer vacation under the introduction of a friend. At this time, he was carrying a tray and wandering around the various private rooms, serving tea and wine to customers. Handsome guy. Don't leave, come and have a drink. Lin Feng came to a private room with drinks, which was very strange. Compared with other private rooms, this private room seemed particularly deserted. There was only a sexy woman standing in the private room singing and drinking. The woman was wearing a suspended dress and had a very hot body, but her face was particularly pure. She looked like she was in her early 20s. Based on Lin Feng's limited experience in bars, this beauty was probably heartbroken. Lin Feng put down the drinks on the tray and was about to leave, but she stopped him. Handsome. Come on, have a drink. The beauty was probably drunk. She raised her glass and leaned against Lin Feng, breathing warm air from her mouth. She was very beautiful and had a good figure. If it were another man, he would have probably fallen for her. But Lin Feng knew that he was a student, so in order not to cause trouble, he pushed the beauty away. Sorry, miss, I'm busy now, so I won't accompany you anymore. After saying that, Lin Feng picked up the tray and turned to leave. Bang! At this moment, the beauty picked up the wine glass and smashed it to the ground. The sound of the glass breaking made Lin Feng stop. He turned around and saw that the beauty's eyes were red and swollen, and there seemed to be tears in the corners of her eyes. You men, none of you are good, you are all big liars. The beauty stretched out her jade finger and yelled at Lin Feng, sit down, drink with me. Lin Feng was a little helpless and smiled, Miss, I'm really sorry, I'm just here to work during the summer vacation. If you need someone to accompany you for drinking, I can ask my colleague to come over. Hearing the word accompany you for drinking, the beauty became even angrier. She glared at Lin Feng, her body trembling as she said, what do you mean? Do you think I'm such a frivolous woman? No. Miss, you're overthinking. Then stop talking nonsense. You must drink with me today. The beauty took out her wallet, pulled out a thick stack of banknotes, and threw it directly at Lin Feng's face. You just want a tip, here's 5,000 yuan. Seeing the banknotes on the ground, Lin Feng was a little tempted. He came here to work as a summer intern, and his monthly salary was less than 2,000 yuan. If he could get this 5,000 yuan, then his university tuition would be settled. Lin Feng was a little embarrassed. After all, he was just a high school student, where had he seen such a scene before? However, Lin Feng finally chose to refuse. He picked up the money, put it back in place, and said to the beauty, Miss, I can sing with you, but I really can't drink, because I won't become an adult in 2 days. Okay. Then come here. The beauty patted the sofa next to her. Lin Feng hesitated for a moment, then nodded, walked over and sat side by side with the beauty. Lin Feng never thought that he, a prospective 985 college student, would have to sing with a woman in a bar. It's really unpredictable. Lin Feng picked up the microphone on the table, ordered a song Happy Cloudy Day by EGOD, and began to sing affectionately. After singing for nearly half an hour, Lin Feng's voice was almost hoarse. The beauty next to him also put down her wine glass, turned her face away, and secretly wiped her tears. Alice. Seeing this, Lin Feng could only sigh helplessly. He had never been in love since he was a child, and he didn't know how to comfort her. Finally, Lin Feng had to pick up the wine glass and said to the beauty, although I don't know what happened to you, our Chinese teacher once said that those who left me yesterday's day cannot be kept, those who disturbed my heart, today's day is full of worries. If life is not satisfactory, I will go boating tomorrow. In life, there will always be bitterness and tears. As long as you persist, you will see hope. After speaking, Lin Feng drank the white wine. Ahem, so spicy. So refreshing. This was the first time that Lin Feng drank liquor in his life. He drank it in one gulp and immediately coughed. That's right. The beauty came to Lin Feng's side with a drunken look and shouted, "The Chinese teacher is right. If you are not satisfied with your life, go boating tomorrow. Fuck love. Fuck marriage. Let's toast to the Chinese teacher. Teachers are the greatest. Let's continue drinking." Hearing the last few words, Lin Feng was speechless. He didn't want to drink at first, but seeing that the beauty had taken the lead in drinking a glass, Lin Feng was not to be outdone and could only accompany her to the end. Ha ha ha, so refreshing. It's so refreshing. After drinking half a bottle of liquor, the beauty was already a little drunk. She pointed to the clock on the wall and said, "It's almost 12 o'clock. Whoever falls down first tonight will be the puppy." Okay. Who's afraid of who? It was unknown how long it took before the two of them were drunk and unconscious. In the end, the beauty helped Lin Feng to a nearby hotel and booked a suite. Lin Feng remembered that night very clearly, because it was his first time. At the same time, it was also the first time for that beautiful woman. Since that night, Lin Feng has never seen that beautiful woman again. She disappeared from this world like air. Lin Feng also gradually forgot about this incident and started his college life. 2 years later. Yangcheng University, in the classroom. The class is particularly lively today because a new teacher has come. It is said that this teacher is a goddess-level figure. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also a highly educated overseas returnee, and she is both talented and beautiful. But Lin Feng is not interested in this. At this time, he was lying on the desk, snoring. After entering college, Lin Feng has to work part-time as a deliveryman every day. Yesterday, he even delivered until 2 in the morning, and he was really sleepy. As the bell rang, a beautiful woman in a hip-hugging short skirt walked into the classroom. Seeing this beauty, there was a wolf howl in the class. "Hello, classmates. My name is Zhang Yuxi. Since Teacher Wang is on maternity leave, I will be your new counselor from today. Next, I will call the roll." Lin Feng was sleeping soundly, but he heard Zhang Yuxi's self-introduction. He woke up suddenly because he was so familiar with this voice. Lin Feng raised his groggy head, rubbed his sleepy eyes, looked towards the podium, and was suddenly shocked. Damn. Am I dreaming? Lin Feng. Is Lin Feng here? Zhang Yuxi called out twice in succession, holding the roster. Lin Feng was startled and stood up suddenly. Yes. Seeing Lin Feng, the roster in Zhang Yuxi's hand fell to the ground with a click. Her pupils shrank slightly, her lips trembled, and she had an expression of disbelief. Why is it him? Chapter 2 Fatherly Love System. Seeing Zhang Yuxi, Lin Feng was also very shocked. He never thought that after 2 years, the two would meet again in this way. Teacher Zhang, are you okay? The class committee member sitting in the front row kindly reminded. Zhang Yuxi hurriedly picked up the roster and pretended to be fine. I'm fine, let's continue to call the roll. In this class, Zhang Yuxi can be said to be absent-minded throughout the whole process. As long as she saw Lin Feng below, she began to stutter. Originally, this class was about Chinese studies, but she turned it into Journey to the West. However, the students below had no complaints. Because appearance is justice. In this era, as long as you look good, people will listen to you no matter what you say. But Lin Feng didn't care and was still sleeping soundly. He was really too tired. After school, he had to continue delivering takeout. Who told him that his family was poor and he could only rely on himself to go to college? And it had been 2 years since that incident. He thought Zhang Yuxi should have forgotten it a long time ago, right? Soon, the bell rang for the end of get out of class. Lin Feng yawned, picked up his school bag, and prepared to start his delivery career. Seeing Lin Feng leaving, Zhang Yuxi raised her hand, looking as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. She wanted to call Lin Feng, but finally chose to give up. On the other side, Lin Feng rode an electric bike to the community near the school to deliver food. Bang bang. Lin Feng knocked on the door of the apartment. Hello, your food is here. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, Zhang Yuxi opened the door in her pajamas. Seeing each other, they said in unison, Why is it you? I'm working part-time and delivering food. Oh, come in. Zhang Yuxi invited Lin Feng into the house. Lin Feng put the food in his hand on the dining table. After putting the food, Lin Feng began to scan the environment inside the house. The whole room, except for some daily necessities, is basically full of books and stationery. But there are a few things that are particularly eye-catching. On the coffee table, there are actually a few cans of milk powder and 4 milk bottles. There are also 2 baby carriages and a few used diapers on the balcony. Seeing these objects, Lin Feng seemed to be struck by lightning, and the whole person was stunned. Zhang. Teacher Zhang, are you married? Lin Feng's lips trembled, and he asked this question with great difficulty. Well, I guess so. Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression and responded in a low voice. Hearing this, Lin Feng finally understood it. But think about it, it's been almost 2 years since that incident. Zhang Yuxi is so beautiful, and she is also a highly educated goddess. She must have many suitors. It's normal for her to get married. However, Lin Feng still remembers everything that happened that night. It's as if it happened yesterday. Thinking of this, Lin Feng smiled bitterly and said with a forced smile, "Congratulations to Teacher Zhang. 2 years ago, I was still worried about love, but I didn't expect to find my Mr. Right so soon. Lin Feng, if you have nothing to do, go back first. I have to feed the baby later." Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng's bitter look, and a smug expression appeared on her face. Well, okay. Although he was very disappointed, Lin Feng nodded and turned to walk out of the room. Ling. Congratulations to the host. Activate the fatherly love system. Activation progress 99%. Lin Feng had just taken 2 steps when a strange sound came from his mind. He stopped, thinking that he was hallucinating. But then, a mechanical sound came from his mind again. The host's emotional fluctuations are detected, and the system now gives the host 2 choices. 1. Help Zhang Yuxi feed the baby. The system will be 100% activated, and reward the feeding proficiency skill, and get the title of primary dad. 2. Pass through the flowers without getting a single leaf on you, leave directly, and ignore Zhang Yuxi. Obtain the title of love playboy. Hearing these 2 options, Lin Feng's mouth twitched twice. Damn. Do I need to choose this? Even a fool knows to choose one. If I leave directly, it means losing the system. How can I counterattack and pretend in the future? Can the title of love playboy be used as a meal? Lin Feng didn't even think about it, and turned around and said to Zhang Yuxi, "Teacher Zhang, where is the child? Let me help you feed the milk." "Ah, you want to help me?" Zhang Yuxi's pretty face blushed slightly, and she was a little embarrassed. "Well, I just don't have anything to do. Besides, you are alone, you have to go to class and take care of the child, it's also very tiring." Lin Feng said in a gentle tone. "Lin Feng, thank you." Zhang Yuxi heard the words and looked at Lin Feng's eyes, which were also full of love. Soon, she prepared the milk powder and took Lin Feng into the bedroom. When Lin Feng came to the bedroom, he was shocked to find that there were 4 babies inside. And they were 2 boys and 2 girls. Twins. Oh my. Teacher Zhang is so amazing. She can even give birth to such a lineup. I don't know who the father of the children is, but she is amazing. At this time, the 4 babies saw Lin Feng and suddenly cried wah wah wah. The crying came one after another, and Lin Feng was panicked. Zhang Yuxi hurried forward, stroked the baby's back, and comforted them. "Baby, don't cry. Uncle will feed you milk soon," Zhang Yuxi said, and turned her eyes to Lin Feng. "Lin Feng, can you feed milk?" Lin Feng shook his head. "No." "Okay, then I'll teach you how to do it." Under Zhang Yuxi's instruction, Lin Feng first shook the bottle, and then gently put the nipple into the baby's mouth. During the whole process, Lin Feng was very careful, for fear of making the baby cry. After a long time, the baby finally finished the milk powder and fell asleep quietly. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was sweating profusely as if he had just finished a workout. There is also Sibao to feed. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled helplessly. He refilled a bottle of milk powder, put it in Sibao's mouth, and carefully fed him milk. Just then, an old lady came in from outside. "Sorry, Teacher Zhang, there was a traffic jam on the road, and I was late." Zhang Yuxi invited the old lady into the house and shook her head. "It's okay, it's not your fault." Then she introduced Lin Feng. "This is the confinement nanny Sister Wang." Lin Feng nodded to show his goodwill, and with the help of Sister Wang, the 2 finally finished feeding Sibao milk. After completing all this, Lin Feng felt a sense of accomplishment. At the same time, the system's voice sounded as promised. "Ling. Congratulations to the host, you have completed option 1 task. Award the father's love system. Award the feeding mastery skill. Obtain the title of Junior Milk Dad. Warm reminder, when the host is raising his own baby, you must infuse all your love. Raising your own baby? What the hell is this? Chapter 3, A Man's Responsibility. Hearing the system's prompt, Lin Feng's mind was full of question marks. At this moment, the system's voice sounded again. Warm reminder, as long as the host raises the baby with love, you will get unexpected rewards. Lin Feng looked at the baby in the bedroom and asked the system, anyone's baby can be taken? Of course not, only the host's own baby can be taken. Boom. Hearing this, Lin Feng was struck by lightning and almost fainted on the ground. He never thought that the talented and beautiful teacher Zhang would give birth to 4 children for him. And they were twins. No wonder he smiled with relief when he heard that he would help her breastfeed. It turns out that these 4 babies are all his? Lin Feng was still a little unbelievable and continued to ask the system, are you sure, they are all my children? The system replied, absolutely true, please believe this system. Hearing this, Lin Feng remained silent. After a long time, he murmured to himself, this world is really crazy. At this time, Lin Feng's heart was very messy, and even a little panicked. After all, he was just a college student who had never even been in love. Now there were suddenly 4 more children, and he couldn't accept it at all, because he had no financial strength to raise 4 hungry children. And there was also a beautiful mother? Host, please don't worry, as long as the host raises the baby carefully, the system will give generous rewards. Perhaps sensing Lin Feng's concerns, the system popped up again. Raising the baby carefully can get generous rewards? What kind of rewards are they? Lin Feng asked curiously. System, sorry, the system has nothing to say, please explore it yourself. Grass. A plant. Lin Feng calmed down and looked into the bedroom. At this time, Zhang Yuxi was coaxing the baby to sleep, and the scene was particularly warm. The 4 babies were also very well behaved, lying quietly on the bed, as cute as 4 porcelain dolls. Seeing this, Lin Feng's eyes softened, and a smile like an old father appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, seeing the wrinkles at the corners of Zhang Yuxi's eyes, Lin Feng became distressed again. Compared with 2 years ago, Zhang Yuxi was obviously much more haggard, with a little more fatigue and vicissitudes on her face. I wonder what she has been through during this period? Lin Feng. This woman is willing to sacrifice her youth for you, and gave birth to these 4 babies after 10 months of pregnancy. If you are scared now, then you are really not a man. Lin Feng plucked up his courage, went back into the house, and walked to Zhang Yuxi's side. The baby is so cute. Lin Feng praised from the bottom of his heart. Zhang Yuxi also showed a sweet smile on her face. Yes, they are 4 little angels who pulled me out of the quagmire. Zhang Yuxi gently rocked the crib, her face full of happiness and love. In the room, Sister Wang was cleaning up the diapers while fighting for Zhang Yuxi. Teacher Zhang is alone, working and taking care of the child. It's so hard. I don't know what the child's father thinks. He hasn't come to see the child for so long. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi was a little embarrassed and hurriedly changed the subject. Lin Feng, don't you still have to deliver food? Go and do your thing. Drive me away? What does this mean? Does she want to raise the child alone? Bang bang bang. Just then, there was a violent knock on the door outside. Then, an obese woman came in with a key. Teacher Zhang, when will the rent be paid? I see that it's not easy for you, a single mother, to take care of a child, but you can't keep delaying it, right? I still have to rely on rent to eat. Zhang Yuxi looked a little embarrassed. She just found a job as a college counselor, and this month's salary hasn't come down yet. How can she pay the rent? Seeing this, Lin Feng stood up and asked, how much does she owe you? 2 months' rent, plus the deposit, a total of 20,000. The fat woman replied directly. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, opened Alipay, transferred some money, and added his own savings to the fat woman. The fat woman received the money and left the room with a smile on her face. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi felt a little embarrassed and said, Lin Feng, I will definitely return the money to you when I get my salary next month. No, let's talk about the child. Sister Wang seemed to feel that the atmosphere was a little wrong and left the room tactfully. At this time, only Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were left in the room. Lin Feng didn't say anything nonsense and said directly, Teacher Zhang, The child is mine, right? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi was shocked. She quickly denied it. Lin Feng, what are you talking about? How can the child be yours? Although Zhang Yuxi said so, how could Lin Feng believe it? Lin Feng's expression became serious, and he said in a deep voice, why did you hide it from me? Zhang Yuxi lowered her head and looked gloomy. She smiled bitterly and said, at that time, you just went to college. What's the point of me telling you? Can you afford it? Besides, I'm afraid that telling you will delay your schooling, so stop talking. Lin Feng interrupted her directly, I understand what you said. But I am the father of the child, you can't hide it from me. Zhang Yuxi was silent, and soon said, even if you know, what can you do? In Zhang Yuxi's view, men are all pigs. Even if Lin Feng knew about this, he would soon abandon himself and find a new love. After all, he is still so young and full of hope for the future. How could he be willing to be tied to himself? But Lin Feng's next words were beyond her expectations. Since I know about this, I will definitely not escape. I am not only responsible for the child, but also for you. I want you to live a happy life until I die. Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. She never thought that the seemingly immature boy in front of her would say such words. She was moved by Lin Feng's responsibility. At the same time, she was also moved that she could have such a man. However, the reality is cruel. Raising 4 children is not an easy thing for anyone. What's more, Lin Feng is still a college student. Zhang Yuxi's eyes were red, tears burst out, and she choked and said, Lin Feng, I know you want to help me, but this matter has nothing to do with you. I will raise the children. Now, Zhang Yuxi still wants to take it alone. Lin Feng felt very uncomfortable and said firmly, Teacher Zhang, the children are also mine, how can they have nothing to do with me? I have an obligation to take care of them. Seeing Lin Feng's serious look, Zhang Yuxi said bitterly, but what can you use to raise the children? Lin Feng took a deep breath, looked at Zhang Yuxi solemnly, and said word by word. Because I am the father of the child. Even if I sell my pots and irons, even if I go to the construction site to move bricks, I will support you mothers. Zhang Yuxi heard the words and trembled slightly. At this moment, the system's voice came. Ding. Because the host is brave enough to take responsibility and fulfill his responsibilities as a father, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Please check it. The next second, Lin Feng received a message on his mobile phone. Your savings card with the last number 8848 received a transfer of RMB 100,000.00 at 1819 on February 28, and the current balance is 100,018.23 yuan. The new book is launched, please recommend and collect it. Chapter 4 No, I can learn. Seeing this huge sum of money, Lin Feng was a little bit unbelievable. He opened the bank app and checked it carefully, and found that 100,000 yuan had indeed arrived. Could this be the generous reward the system mentioned? It is indeed generous enough. However, at this time, after listening to Lin Feng's heartfelt words, Zhang Yuxi's eyes were red, tears were rolling in her eyes, and she was so moved that she almost cried. Ahem. Lin Feng coughed lightly to calm down his excitement, and then said, Teacher Zhang, I still have some savings now, which should be enough to last until my internship. After I start working, I will definitely double your compensation. During this period, I can stay and help you take care of the baby, so that I can save the money for hiring a confinement nanny. When you go to class, I will stay here to take care of them. Anyway, you are a teacher, it doesn't matter whether I go or not. Zhang Yuxi glanced at Lin Feng and shook her head and said, Don't worry about the children. Sister Wen can help me take care of them. You are still a student now, and you must focus on your studies. I have already completed the credits for school, and I just need to wait to get my diploma. Lin Feng declined. That won't work either. Zhang Yuxi said, Even so, can you take care of the baby? You even need me to teach you how to feed the milk powder. How can you take care of 4 babies? Lin Feng is still in college and has no stable source of income at all. Even the daily living expenses have to be earned by delivering food, and she doesn't want to put too much pressure on Lin Feng. Hearing Zhang Yuxi's question, Lin Feng clenched his fists tightly. He looked at Zhang Yuxi firmly and said word by word, No, I can learn. Zhang Yuxi's eyes flickered when she heard it. After a long silence, she looked at Lin Feng and asked, Are you serious? Of course. Lin Feng smiled and said softly, To me, you and the child are more important than anything else. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi nodded slightly, her eyes reddened. After a long time, she raised her head and said to Lin Feng, "Okay, then from today, you will learn to take care of the child from Sister Wang. I will tell Sister Wang to let her work for another half a month, and after half a month, you will replace her. But let's make a deal in advance. During this period, I will be responsible for making money to support the family, and you don't have too much pressure." Lin Feng smiled slightly and teased, "Yes, wife." Zhang Yuxi's cheeks flushed and she glared at Lin Feng fiercely. Then, she opened the door, called Sister Wang to the balcony, and explained Lin Feng's affairs to her. When Sister Wang came in, the look she gave Lin Feng also became a little strange. "Are you the father of the child?" Lin Feng nodded. Seeing this, Sister Wang smiled with appreciation. "Not bad. At such a young age, he is brave enough to take responsibility. He is a good man." Lin Feng smiled and said nothing. He walked to the bedside and looked at the 4 dolls on the bed, with a happy smile on his face. If it weren't for the system, he didn't know if he could be so brave. After all, raising 4 children is not an easy thing. But, it must be said, these 4 children are really delicate. Each one is like a doll, very beautiful. Especially the 2 little girls, with a pair of big watery eyes, blinking constantly, they look very much like Zhang Yuxi. Sure enough, daughters take after their mothers. Among them, the smallest boy. I don't know what dream he had, but he pouted his little mouth and a drop of crystal clear saliva flowed out. Seeing this, Lin Feng couldn't help laughing. Although the existence of these 4 children made him feel overwhelmed, he also felt warm. This is his flesh and blood, the continuation of his life. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly felt that he could give everything for them. This may be the power of genes. If you want to touch it, you can touch it gently. At this moment, Zhang Yuxi came in from outside with a diaper. Seeing Lin Feng trying his best to restrain himself, Zhang Yuxi whispered. Lin Feng nodded after hearing this. He stretched out a finger and poked the youngest boy's mouth to help him wipe his saliva. Lin Feng's movements were very gentle, for fear of waking him up. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yuxi's eyes became soft, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. After wiping the saliva of the baby, Lin Feng then raised his head and asked, "Who is the brother and who is the sister?" These 4 babies not only look very similar, but also have a uniform figure. Lin Feng really couldn't tell them apart for a while. "I forgot to tell you." Zhang Yuxi smiled awkwardly and walked quickly to Lin Feng. As soon as he approached, Lin Feng smelled the unique fragrance of Zhang Yuxi. This smell seemed to take him back to 2 years ago. At that time, he was still a young man who knew nothing, but in the blink of an eye, he became the father of 4 children. Things changed so fast. Zhang Yuxi walked to the bedside, pointed from left to right and said, "From here to there, they are the eldest, the second, the third and the fourth, and they all have numbers on their clothes." Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned. Numbers on clothes? It is indeed a good idea. Zhang Yuxi seemed to see that Lin Feng was strange, and hurriedly explained, "I was afraid that Sister Wang would make a mistake, so I marked the babies with numbers, because each baby has a different temper and personality, and a different appetite." "I see." Lin Feng nodded. Zhang Yuxi continued, "The eldest and the 4th are boys, the 2nd and the 3rd are girls, and the one you wiped your saliva just now is the 4th. Do they have a real name?" Lin Feng suddenly asked. Zhang Yuxi blushed and shook her head, saying, "Not yet." Lin Feng pondered for a moment. It's not good for the children to be so old without names. After all, we can't call them the eldest, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. Think of a name. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi. Zhang Yuxi frowned and shook her head, saying, "I don't know how to name them." Otherwise, she wouldn't use names like eldest and 2nd to call these 4 good babies. Then, she looked at Lin Feng again and said, "How about you name them?" "This." Lin Feng scratched his head and said, "I'm also bad at naming. How about I ask my parents?" Zhang Yuxi hesitated after hearing this and said, "Okay, but you can't tell anyone about us." "This, okay," Lin Feng said helplessly. In fact, he really wanted to tell his parents about this matter. However, in order to take care of Zhang Yuxi's feelings, Lin Feng just let her do it and not tell anyone for the time being. Chapter 5: Naming Your Child. Night came quietly. The whole city of Yangcheng was shrouded in lights, a prosperous scene. Lin Feng looked at the time. It was late, and it was time for him to leave. Although he wanted to stay and continue to take care of the baby, His clothes and textbooks were in the dormitory. And seeing that Zhang Yuxi didn't seem to want to stay, Lin Feng knew that this kind of thing couldn't be rushed. If he wanted to truly become Zhang Yuxi's husband, he still had a long way to go. On the way back to the dormitory, Lin Feng took out his mobile phone and called his parents. "Hello, Mom. Zhao Feng, why are you calling at this time? Have you eaten?" The gentle voice of Lin's mother came from the other end of the phone. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Mom, I've eaten a long time ago. Is Dad with you?" "Well, do you have no money?" "Your dad and I." Lin's mother's voice was a little embarrassed. Lin Feng's current parents are not his biological parents. Lin's father failed in his previous business and owed a lot of debts. Usually he can only do some small business and it is difficult to support himself. That's why Lin Feng went to work part-time in a bar as soon as he graduated from high school turned tuition for college. After entering university, he would deliver food whenever he had time, and never asked his family for living expenses. Lin Feng did not blame his parents, he only blamed himself for not working hard enough. But now, with the system, these problems will no longer be a problem. "Mom, I have money to use, you don't have to worry." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I called you this time because I have a friend who got married and gave birth to quadruplets, but she didn't know how to name the children, so she asked me if I had any suggestions. But I don't have any clues, so I wanted to ask you if there are any nice names." At the end, Lin Feng felt a little guilty. "Your friend. The friend you are talking about is not." When Lin's father heard what Lin Feng said, he quickly snatched the phone and said meaningfully, "Dad, what are you thinking about? My friend is actually my roommate Liu. You have met him before. Okay, just treat it as if you have grandchildren, and quadruplets, what would you name them?" Lin Feng was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat and quickly changed the subject. If Zhang Yuxi hadn't stopped him from saying it, he might have confessed it just now. "I can't name them, let your mother do it," Father Lin said, and returned the phone to Mother Lin. Mother Lin took the phone, pondered for a moment, and then continued, "Since they are quadruplets, you can't just give them random names. They must have good meanings, otherwise it won't be good for the children." "Yes, Mom, you're right." Lin Feng nodded in agreement. "If they are my grandchildren, I will name the girls Lin Tuanchuan and Lin Yuanin, and the boys Lin Pingping and Lin Anan." Mother Lin didn't even think about it and said directly, "Tuanchuan Yuanin, Pingping Anan. It's really a good name." Hearing Mother Lin's answer, Lin Feng touched his nose. It seems that his mother has long wanted to hold grandchildren, and even thought of a name for herself. However, they may not know that the friend Lin Feng mentioned is actually himself. Thinking of this, Lin Feng smiled awkwardly and said, "Okay, Mom, you guys go to bed early, I'm hanging up first." "Wait." Just when Lin Feng was about to hang up, Lin's mother suddenly stopped Lin Feng and changed the subject. "Zhao Feng, your roommate has a child, when are you going to have a girlfriend? I tell you, you can't just study hard in college. When you have time, you can solve the major events in your life. When you go out into society, it will be difficult for you to find a girlfriend." Hearing what Lin's mother said, Lin Feng laughed and responded, "Mom, it's not urgent." Lin's mother has always been very worried about her lifelong event. Because of the family's financial conditions, Lin's mother is also very clear that if she can help Lin Feng solve the major event of marriage earlier, then his future burden will not be so heavy. However, Lin Feng doesn't need to find a girlfriend now. His life has skipped the 2 steps of dating and getting married and has come to the stage of raising children. Lin Feng doesn't know whether he should be happy or worried. "Why aren't you in a hurry?" Lin's mother scolded, "You are not a child anymore, and you are still so careless. No matter what, you must solve the big issue of marriage before graduating from college. If you don't have money, you must tell us, understand? Your father and I have found a job recently and will be able to go to work soon. We will give you money when the time comes." Okay, I get it," Lin Feng said perfunctorily. He really wanted to know why mothers all over China are so nagging. Not only his own mother, but also his roommate Liu, who is often urged to get married by his mother, and he is almost depressed. After all, he is just a 2-dimensional otaku who only wants to spend his life with paper people. He has no sexual interest in women in the real world. "Zhao Feng, why do I feel like you're perfunctory to me?" Hearing Lin Feng's impatient tone, Lin's mother said a little unhappy. "No, Mom, I have something to do. I'll hang up first." Lin Feng was riding an electric bike and suddenly saw a jewelry store next to the school. Lin Feng seemed to have thought of something and hung up the phone in a hurry. Hey, you kid. Before Lin's mother finished her words, Lin Feng had already hung up the phone and walked into the jewelry store. Welcome, sir. How can I help you? Seeing a customer coming in, a beautiful shopping guide immediately greeted him. She looked very young, about 25 or 26 years old, wearing a white shirt, a black short skirt, and a ponytail. I want to buy a necklace. Lin Feng pointed at the jewelry on the counter and said, Okay sir, please come this way. The beautiful shopping guide looked at Lin Feng and found that he was wearing a sports suit and looked very young. He should be a student nearby. So she took Lin Feng and walked to the ordinary counter. Sir, all the jewelry here is officially authorized by Cartier, guaranteed to be authentic. You come to buy a necklace, I guess it should be a gift for your girlfriend. The beautiful shopping guide said to Lin Feng in a friendly way. Yes. Lin Feng nodded expressionlessly. Seeing this, the beautiful shopping guide showed a happy expression on her face and said, Then take a look, is there any style you like here? Lin Feng looked at the pile of necklaces in the counter, and his expression was a little puzzled. He didn't know much about jewelry, but he had heard of the brand Cartier. Seeing Lin Feng in a dilemma, the beautiful shopping guide took out a few necklaces from the counter and placed them in front of Lin Feng. Sir, I think these necklaces should be very suitable for your girlfriend. Lin Feng looked at the necklaces and then shook his head. He stood in front of the counter and slowly searched. Suddenly, he found a shell-shaped necklace in the corner of the counter. He pointed at the necklace and asked the shopping guide, How much is this necklace? Sir, you have a good eye. This is our latest Ocean Series necklace launched this season. The design is very unique and very suitable for women to wear. Also, this necklace is a limited edition, so the price will be relatively expensive. It costs 38,800. The beautiful shopping guide said with a smile. It's indeed a bit expensive. Lin Feng was surprised when he heard it. He originally thought that a necklace would cost at most tens of thousands of yuan. But this one, the price is as high as 40,000 yuan. If the system hadn't just rewarded him with 100,000 yuan, even if he was sold, he couldn't afford such an expensive necklace. But thinking of Zhang Yuxi's 10 months of pregnancy and giving birth to 4 well-behaved babies, this little money is nothing. Thinking of this, Lin Feng nodded and said, Okay, this is it, help me pack it up. Chapter 6 Double Reward. Although Lin Feng is fully capable of buying this necklace now, but he still felt a little painful to suddenly spend tens of thousands of dollars. However, when he thought that this necklace was given to Zhang Yuxi, he suddenly felt it was worth it. As long as he could impress Zhang Yuxi and make her feel that she was someone she could entrust her life to, this was more important than anything else. And now with the help of the system, it should not be difficult to make money in the future. It's just that this system seems to only reward when raising a baby, so whether it is out of family affection or for the sake of reward, he must take good care of the baby. After buying the necklace, Lin Feng ran to a nearby shopping mall and bought several sets of cosmetics. When he came out, his hands were full of various bags, and his hands could hardly hold them. Back in the dormitory, the roommates saw what Lin Feng had in his hands and immediately showed surprised expressions. Among them, Liu Bo, Lin Feng's closest roommate, was the first to ask, Lin Feng, why did you buy so many cosmetics? Do you have a girlfriend? Lin Feng put the things on the bed and nodded, I think so, I plan to give them to her tomorrow. Oh my goodness, fairy water, Innisfree, and Lancome. Lin Feng, you are rich. Another roommate stared at Lin Feng's bag with shining eyes. You know all this? Lin Feng was surprised. Of course, my girlfriend often talks about these cosmetics to me, and I can recite them in my dreams. You must have spent a lot of money on these things, right? The roommate asked. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and said, it probably cost more than 10,000. Puff. Hearing this price, Liu Bo sprayed out a mouthful of coke and said in shock, it cost more than 10,000. Lin Feng, you are not being right. In their opinion, Lin Feng and this girl should have been together for a short time. Otherwise, they would not know it now. But how long has it been? Lin Feng is going to give her such an expensive gift. If this isn't then what is it? Oh, don't let your imagination run wild. She and I aren't together yet, this is at best a confession gift. Lin Feng hurriedly explained. He didn't want his roommate to continue gossiping about him. After all, Zhang Yuxi gave birth to 4 babies for him, so what's the big deal about buying some cosmetics for her? He had originally planned to buy something for the 4 babies. But he knew nothing about baby products, so he could only wait until tomorrow and let Zhang Yuxi take him to buy them. Hearing what Lin Feng said, Liu Bo and the others were relieved. If it's a confession gift, there's nothing wrong with making it grand. The next day, Lin Feng got up early. After washing up, he took his cosmetics and rode out on his bike. Soon, he came to Zhang Yuxi's residence, took out the key and opened the door. Entering the house, Lin Feng saw that there was no one in the living room, so he went straight to Zhang Yuxi's bedroom. But when he pushed open the door, he froze in place, and his breathing became heavy. Because at this time, Zhang Yuxi was in the house, feeding the child herself. Gurgle. Lin Feng couldn't help swallowing his saliva. His nasal cavity seemed to emit countless flames, making him feel extremely hot. Especially when his eyes fell in front of Zhang Yuxi, he almost couldn't control himself. At this time, Zhang Yuxi was wearing a cool pajamas, which outlined her beautiful figure to the fullest. Zhang Yuxi was also shocked by Lin Feng's appearance. Her face suddenly turned red, and she hurriedly pulled up her pajamas and shouted at Lin Feng, "Get out!" Lin Feng immediately came back to his senses after hearing this. He retracted his gaze and turned to leave the bedroom. Since that night 2 years ago, he has never seen such a beautiful scene again, so he can't help but feel a little nervous. Wow wow wow. Zhang Yuxi's scolding scared the 4 babies, and they immediately started crying. "I'm sorry, baby, don't cry, baby, don't cry. Mom is not being mean to you, Mom is being mean to your dad, baby, be good." Zhang Yuxi quickly stretched out her right hand, gently patted the backs of the 4 children to comfort them. Zhang Yuxi was obviously not used to Lin Feng's address. Outside the door, Lin Feng was very happy to hear Zhang Yuxi calling him husband. Lin Feng. After a while, Zhang Yuxi's voice came out. "I'm here, what's wrong?" Lin Feng replied immediately. I don't have enough milk, can you make some milk powder for me and bring it in?" In the bedroom, Zhang Yuxi said shyly. If it were normal, she would have gone out with a baby. But now, Lin Feng was in the house, and she was embarrassed to go out like this. "Okay." Lin Feng nodded immediately, then ran to the kitchen and started to make milk powder. Because of the experience of breastfeeding last time, Lin Feng quickly made 4 bottles of milk powder. He took the milk powder, returned to the bedroom, and knocked on the door. "Come in." Zhang Yuxi's voice rang out. Lin Feng walked in with a milk bottle and said with a smile, "Wife, do you think this temperature is right?" At this time, Zhang Yuxi had just put on her clothes, and her shoulders were still exposed, which looked particularly attractive. Zhang Yuxi seemed to have not recovered from what happened just now. Yet, Zhang Yuxi took the milk bottle, stretched out her hand to feel it, and nodded, "This temperature is fine. When you make milk powder in the future, don't exceed this temperature, then there will be no problem." "Okay." Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Then he walked to the bed and watched the 4 cute babies. At this time, Zhang Yuxi suddenly asked, "By the way, have you thought of the names of the children?" "I've thought about it. The girls will be named Lin Tuanchuan and Lin Yuanin, and the boys will be named Lin Pingping and Lin Anan. What do you think?" Lin Feng looked at the babies and said without turning his head, "Tuanchuan Yuanin, Pingping Anan." Zhang Yuxi heard the words, murmured softly, and then nodded, "It's good, then they will be called this name in the future." As soon as Zhang Yuxi finished speaking, the voice of the system came to Lin Feng's mind. Ling, because the host has named the baby and fulfilled his responsibilities as a father, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Because the host has made milk powder for the baby and fulfilled his responsibilities as a father, he will be rewarded with the skill of milk powder identification. Hearing the voice of the system, Lin Feng felt secretly happy. Unexpectedly, just naming the baby can actually get a reward, it's awesome. However, what is this milk powder identification skill? Lin Feng clicked on the system panel and took a closer look. Milk powder identification. With a skill, you can identify the specific ingredients of milk powder and distinguish whether the milk powder is real or fake. Not bad. Then you don't have to worry about buying fake milk powder when buying milk powder for your baby in the future. At this time, Zhang Yuxi was still muttering the baby's new name. She could feel that Lin Feng really liked these 4 babies and was sincere to herself. Therefore, The look in Zhang Yuxi's eyes when she looked at Lin Feng also became full of love. Please recommend and collect. Chapter 7 I want to be responsible for you. Okay, I'm done feeding. You help me look after the baby while I change my clothes. Zhang Yuxi said, and then turned and walked out the door. Wait a minute, wife. Lin Feng called Zhang Yuxi directly. Do you have anything else to do? Zhang Yuxi heard this, turned around and looked at Lin Feng, and asked. Lin Feng handed the jewelry box that he had prepared in advance to Zhang Yuxi and said, this is for you. Seeing the jewelry box in Lin Feng's hand, Zhang Yuxi was stunned for a moment. But soon, she shook her head and refused. I don't want it. Didn't I tell you yesterday that I can make money by myself, and you don't have to waste money on me and the baby? Just take it. The money to buy this necklace is earned by myself, and I didn't ask my family. Lin Feng said with some amusement and some emotion. Did you earn it yourself? Zhang Yuxi heard this and looked at Lin Feng with some doubts. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and said, you know, I'm from the Department of Literature. When I have time, I write something online and make a little money. Really? Zhang Yuxi still looked a little suspicious. Why would I lie to you? Lin Feng smiled and said, why do you think I said yesterday that I wanted to raise a baby? It's because I have the financial strength. You don't have to worry about money in the future. Okay. Zhang Yuxi hesitated for a moment, and finally took the jewelry box and opened it. In her opinion, Lin Feng is a student after all and can't make much money. The jewelry he gave her should be worth only a few hundred yuan, and she wouldn't feel any psychological burden to accept it. But when she opened the box and saw the exquisite necklace inside, she was stunned. As a woman, of course she knew the brand Cartier. And the necklace in front of her was the latest Ocean Series necklace launched by Cartier. Even the cheapest one is worth 38,800. She didn't expect that Lin Feng would give her a necklace worth tens of thousands of yuan. This. Zhang Yuxi put down the necklace without thinking and stuffed it back into Lin Feng's hand. Such a valuable thing. I can't take it. Zhang Yuxi's tone was very firm. No matter what Lin Feng said, she couldn't accept the necklace. Seeing this, Lin Feng smiled helplessly. He took out the necklace and said to Zhang Yuxi, in my opinion, no matter how valuable this necklace is, it is not as important as you and the baby. You have worked so hard for the baby in the past 2 years. This is my compensation to you. No, you are such a spendthrift. Zhang Yuxi refused again. In his opinion, Lin Feng was just spending money recklessly. Even if he made some money, he couldn't be so extravagant. After all, they still have 4 babies to raise. If this money is used to buy milk powder, it will be enough for the baby to drink for several years. Of course, Lin Feng knew what Zhang Yuxi was thinking. Wife, I know what you are thinking. But as a girl, how can you not even have a decent piece of jewelry? I earned this money myself. And I will continue to earn money in the future to support you and your mother, so you can rest assured to accept it. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi pursed her lips and her eyes began to become moist. In her opinion, the reason why Lin Feng wanted to be responsible for her was just because she was the mother of the baby. He was not sincere to her. But if it was just because of this, he didn't need to give such an expensive gift, nor did he need to do so many things. Thinking of this, Zhang Yuxi was a little at a loss, not knowing how to refuse Lin Feng. Lin Feng saw that Zhang Yuxi still didn't accept the necklace in his hand. He smiled helplessly, picked up the necklace directly, and put it on Zhang Yuxi's neck. Feeling the cold touch from her neck, Zhang Yuxi's body trembled slightly. It's so beautiful. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with satisfaction and said affectionately, Wife, do you know? In the past 2 years, I have never forgotten that night. My longing for you has never faded because of the passage of time. I want to be responsible for you. From now on, we will raise the baby together and build a complete family together, okay? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi's body trembled and tears burst out. Lin Feng's confession was like a thunderclap, making her feel dazed and absent-minded. Woo woo woo, she suddenly burst into tears and threw herself into Lin Feng's arms. Lin Feng gently patted Zhang Yuxi's back and said softly, Yuxi, promise me. Yes. Zhang Yuxi nodded heavily. Seeing Zhang Yuxi agreed, Lin Feng was delighted and hugged Zhang Yuxi tightly, as if he was afraid that she would regret it. After a long time, the two of them regained their composure. Lin Feng was the first to speak. Let's go, honey, let's go buy something for the baby, and it's also my gift to them. Well, the baby's milk powder is almost finished. Zhang Yuxi wiped her tears and said. Half an hour later, Sister Wen came to work as usual. With Sister Wen taking care of the baby, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi went out without worry. Lin Feng remembered that there seemed to be a boutique supermarket near the community. So, Lin Feng drove the battery car and took Zhang Yuxi to the boutique supermarket. When they arrived at the door of the supermarket, Zhang Yuxi hesitated. Lin Feng, the things in this supermarket are very expensive, let's go to another place. Lin Feng shook his head and refused. Wife, buying things for the baby is reasonable even if it's a little expensive. And there is no good thing if it's cheap. What if you buy fake milk powder, wouldn't it harm the baby? Lin Feng knew that Zhang Yuxi wanted to save money for himself. But now, with the 200,000 yuan rewarded by the system, Lin Feng can be said to be full of confidence. Even if he bought milk powder worth tens of thousands of yuan, he wouldn't feel bad. Maybe, the system will give him rewards at that time. Thinking of this, Lin Feng took Zhang Yuxi's hand and walked directly to the supermarket. Zhang Yuxi was stunned for a moment when Lin Feng held her hand, and then a blush appeared on her pretty face, and her heartbeat accelerated. She wanted to pull her hand back, but Lin Feng held it tightly. Don't move. Lin Feng whispered. Zhang Yuxi's face was even more embarrassed, and she looked around in panic. Let go quickly, this place is very close to the school, what if we are seen by students? Zhang Yuxi said nervously. You are my wife, what's wrong with me holding my wife's hand? Lin Feng held her hand and walked directly into the supermarket. Zhang Yuxi was very touched, but still felt it was inappropriate, and continued to refuse. No. Why? Do you think I'm poor and think I'm not worthy of being your husband? Lin Feng asked puzzled. Zhang Yuxi hurriedly shook her head and explained, No. I just feel that if people knew about our relationship, the school would definitely fire me, and then you would be under even greater pressure. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled brightly. So you are thinking about me? Zhang Yuxi blushed, turned her head away, and whispered, What else? Do you think I'm that kind of snobbish woman? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Baby's Welcome Gift. Wife, I'm not afraid. If you get fired by the school, just be a full-time mother and I'll support you. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with an extremely hot gaze. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi was so moved that her eyes turned red, and she held Lin Feng's big hand tightly. Just like that, the two walked hand in hand to the baby area of the supermarket. Because it was the weekend, there were a lot of people in the supermarket. As soon as they arrived at the baby area, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi saw that it was crowded with all kinds of mothers. They pushed the carts and rushed in desperately as if they were on the battlefield. Be careful. A cart rushed over and almost hit Zhang Yuxi. Lin Feng grabbed Zhang Yuxi's hand and pulled her into his arms. The two bodies were pressed together, and Lin Feng could even feel the softness of Zhang Yuxi's body and the faint fragrance. Zhang Yuxi was like being electrocuted, and glanced at Lin Feng shyly, and then quickly pulled out. Are you okay? Lin Feng asked with concern. What? Because the supermarket was too noisy, Zhang Yuxi couldn't hear what Lin Feng was saying. Seeing this, Lin Feng went straight to Zhang Yuxi's ear and said with hot breath. I said, are you okay? Feeling Lin Feng's hot breath, Zhang Yuxi's cheeks instantly turned red, and she hurriedly shook her head and said, I'm fine. I'm glad you're okay. Lin Feng laughed and stretched out his hand to pinch Zhang Yuxi's red face. This touch? So comfortable. I'll push the cart, you follow me. Lin Feng said, and found the cart. He pushed the cart with both hands, and let Zhang Yuxi hold the corner of his clothes tightly with one hand. Seeing that Lin Feng treated her like a child, Zhang Yuxi not only did not feel disgusted, but felt very warm. She nodded obediently, holding Lin Feng's clothes tightly with her little hand, looking like a little bird. The milk powder area is in front, let's go over. Lin Feng said, pointing to the shelf in front. Zhang Yuxi nodded, continued to hold the corner of Lin Feng's clothes, and followed him silently. Soon, the two came to the milk powder area. Seeing the dazzling array of milk powder on the shelves, Zhang Yuxi subconsciously glanced at the prices. It turned out that these milk powders were indeed not cheap. Among them, the bija milk powder she often bought was also more expensive than outside. A can costs 800 yuan. Zhang Yuxi looked at these milk powders and fell into a dilemma. What are you thinking about? Lin Feng saw her staring at the milk powder in a daze and couldn't help asking. Zhang Yuxi hesitated for a moment, looked at Lin Feng and said, I'm thinking about changing to cheaper milk powder. 4 babies are really eating too much? Lin Feng asked curiously, how long can a can of milk powder last for a baby? Zhang Yuxi counted on her fingers for a few seconds, and then said, 4 babies, about 5 days. 5 days, a can of milk powder? That would cost nearly 5,000 yuan a month? Lin Feng was completely shocked. Before having a baby, he had never thought that raising a child would cost so much money. The milk powder alone costs 5,000 yuan a month. If there is no system, even if he works as a bricklayer at a construction site, he probably can't afford to raise these 4 babies. Lin Feng took a deep breath and suddenly felt a lot of pressure. Zhang Yuxi saw that Lin Feng's face was not very good, so she quietly put the milk powder back and prepared to change it to a cheaper one. Seeing this, Lin Feng hurriedly stopped her and gritted his teeth and said, no need to change, let the baby eat this milk powder is good. Just now, Lin Feng used the milk powder identification skill to scan the milk powder on the shelf. It was found that among so many milk powders, this déjà is indeed the most cost-effective. And this supermarket is worthy of being a boutique supermarket. Lin Feng didn't find a can of fake milk powder. It seems that in the future, you can buy things for your baby here. Okay, then I'll buy 2 cans first. Zhang Yuxi didn't know how much money Lin Feng had. In order not to embarrass Lin Feng, she only took 2 cans of milk powder and quietly put them in the shopping cart. Thinking that Lin Feng is still a student, Zhang Yuxi felt a little guilty. Originally, she should be responsible for buying things for the baby. But she had just started working, her salary had not been paid yet, and there was not much left in her Huobi credit limit, so she could only let Lin Feng pay the bill. Seeing this, Lin Feng raised his eyebrows and looked a little unhappy. This woman started to worry about nothing again. It seems that she will not change this bad habit unless she shows her financial strength. Lin Feng sighed and silently took out his mobile phone. Come, take a look. Lin Feng clicked the card online banking, opened the deposit, and handed it to Zhang Yuxi. Deposit balance: 158,912.67. Seeing this number, Zhang Yuxi was stunned, and then looked at Lin Feng in surprise. How do you have so much money? A deposit of hundreds of thousands. For an ordinary family, it is indeed nothing. But Lin Feng is just a student, and his family situation is also very ordinary. It is already amazing to have this deposit. Lin Feng scratched Zhang Yuxi's nose and said with a smile, I earned all this, so you can buy it with confidence. In the future, you must not save money for your baby. Well. Zhang Yuxi nodded obediently and looked at the shelf in front of her again. Soon, she took down 5 more cans of milk powder and put them in the shopping cart. This time, she was finally satisfied and nodded happily. Okay. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's satisfied look, Lin Feng was also very happy. After all, for men, making money is very happy. But letting your beloved woman spend money is also a happy thing. After buying milk powder, the two went to buy diapers, bottle brushes, baby bowls, baby shower gel. Adding up, a total of 15 items, spent a full 10,000 yuan. Finally, the two pushed the full shopping cart and walked towards the cashier on the first floor. The two pushed a cart of baby products, plus 7 cans of milk powder, which instantly attracted everyone's attention. In particular, Lin Feng was followed by the beautiful Zhang Yuxi. This also caused many male compatriots to look at him sideways, secretly swallowing their saliva, and envy Lin Feng in their hearts. Lin Feng, let's go. Zhang Yuxi was embarrassed to be stared at, and hurriedly urged Lin Feng. After all, normal people would not buy so many baby products like them. If you don't know, you might think they are purchasing on behalf of others. Lin Feng was not in a hurry and continued to walk slowly. Anyway, with Sister Wang at home, the babies won't wake up so quickly. They can still enjoy their world of two. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's appearance, Lin Feng was about to tease her. But suddenly, something caught his attention. Seeing this thing, Lin Feng felt that he had opened the door to a new world. Oh my! This thing is too cute. Wife, don't go yet. Chapter 9. Did you make an agreement with God? Wife, don't leave yet. Lin Feng suddenly grabbed Zhang Yuxi and walked towards the shelf. What are you doing? Zhang Yuxi's pretty face flushed when Lin Feng pulled her like this, and she felt a little embarrassed. She glared at Lin Feng fiercely, thinking to herself, there are so many people watching, and you don't know how to be careful. What if the students see it? Although she felt a little blamed, Zhang Yuxi's face was still filled with a happy smile. Just at that moment, she wished so much. Lin Feng could call her by this name for the rest of his life. What did you see? After calming down her turbulent mood, Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng again and asked curiously. A good thing. Lin Feng raised the corner of his mouth, took Zhang Yuxi's little hand, and walked directly towards the target. What? It's so mysterious. Seeing Lin Feng so excited, Zhang Yuxi also became interested. Soon, Lin Feng took Zhang Yuxi to a shelf. Lin Feng walked to the shelf, picked up an exquisite gift box, and shook it at Zhang Yuxi. Is this what you are talking about? Yes. Zhang Yuxi frowned and immediately showed a helpless expression. Lin Feng took the gift box and kept looking at the clothes inside. His expression was very excited, as if he had never seen the world. Isn't this a baby clothes gift box? You know. Seeing Zhang Yuxi directly say the name of the gift box, Lin Feng was a little surprised. He thought Zhang Yuxi had never seen this thing. Of course I know. I have seen all the gift boxes in here. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said proudly. Very cute, right? Seeing that Zhang Yuxi was also very interested in this thing, Lin Feng became excited again. The baby clothes gift box is actually a variety of daily necessities prepared for newborn babies. These supplies generally include baby clothes sets, baby cloaks, baby sleeping bags, baby textile products, etc. And what Lin Feng was holding in his hand was a baby clothes set. When he saw these gift boxes just now, Lin Feng's mind emerged with the appearance of 4 little guys wearing these clothes. That look absolutely cute. Seeing the expression on Lin Feng's face, Zhang Yuxi had already guessed what he was thinking. Because she had had this expression before. When she saw these gift boxes, she was also imagining that if the babies could wear them, they would definitely be very cute. But when she saw the price, she gave up. Because the cheapest gift box costs 1,888 yuan. Zhang Yuxi pulled the corner of Lin Feng's clothes and frowned. This gift box is too expensive, let's put it back. Lin Feng glanced at the price and it was indeed quite expensive. However, when he thought of the 4 cute babies wearing this set of clothes, they would look so cute. Lin Feng only had one idea in his mind. That is, buy. Let's buy 4 sets, it's not very expensive. Lin Feng held a gift box tightly and looked at Zhang Yuxi. Zhang Yuxi hesitated, raised her eyebrows and said, although we still have some savings, there will always be a time when they will run out, so you don't have to worry about money. Lin Feng looked down at Zhang Yuxi beside him, and used his trump card to say, don't you want to see the 4 babies wearing this set of clothes? After being said by Lin Feng, Zhang Yuxi's desire was aroused again. Of course she thought about it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have looked at all these gift boxes. But when she thought of the price, Zhang Yuxi regained her composure. She pouted and said with some difficulty, of course I thought about it, but this gift box. Just think about it. Lin Feng interrupted her directly, turned around and said to the nearby shopping guide, hello, give me 4 sets of this gift box. Hey, calm down. Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng asking for 4 sets, and hurriedly grabbed his arm. But the nearby shopping guide had already heard it. 4 sets. The shopping guide was stunned for a moment, and hurriedly greeted her enthusiastically. When she saw the full cart in front of Lin Feng, her mouth opened wide unconsciously. The man in front of her was a big customer. This month's sales were good. Sir, our clothing gift box has 3 different sizes. Excuse me, what size clothes do your baby and other babies wear now? After saying that, the shopping guide continued, of course, if you don't remember, you can also tell me the age of your child and I can choose for you. The shopping guide looked at Lin Feng with a smile, as if looking at a gold mine. Other babies. These are all bought for my baby. Lin Feng said helplessly. What? The shopping guide was stunned. They are all bought for your baby? Who buys 4 sets of the same clothes? And they are all bought for one baby. How long will it take for them to wear? Could it be? The shopping guide looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. Lin Feng was too lazy to argue with her, and went straight to the point. That's right, my baby is not 1, but 4. So I want to buy 4 sets of the same gift box, so that it will look good when worn. Do you understand? Understand, understood. The shopping guide nodded hurriedly. Looking at Lin Feng, the eyes were full of shock. Giving birth to quadruplets in one go? You are really amazing. And looking at the appearance of this female customer, she doesn't look like the mother of 4 babies at all. It's not an exaggeration to say that she is a college student nearby. However, despite being shocked, the shopping guide still smiled and said, "Then may I ask, are the genders of your babies all the same?" "2 boys and 2 girls. Lin Feng replied lightly. Hearing this, the shopping guide was speechless. Giving birth to quadruplets is fine, but it's actually 2 boys and 2 girls. Did you agree with God? What kind of luck is this? Okay. The shopping guide smiled stiffly and said, "In that case, I suggest you buy green for boys and pink for girls." Lin Feng touched his nose, looked at Zhang Yuxi and said, "Wife, what do you think?" "All right." Zhang Yuxi nodded, looking a little shy. The conversation between Lin Feng and the shopping guide just now made her too embarrassed to raise her head. Especially when the shopping guide looked at her with such surprised eyes, Zhang Yuxi wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. At this time, Zhang Yuxi hid behind Lin Feng, holding the corner of Lin Feng's clothes tightly, like a baby who had done something wrong. Very cute. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng felt his heart skip a beat. Damn. It's okay if the children are so cute. Even my wife is so cute. How can I live like this? Chapter 10 Lin Feng's decision. Lin Feng shook his head and regained his composure. He stretched out his right hand, touched Zhang Yuxi's head, and asked softly, "Wife, are you okay?" Feeling Lin Feng's gentle hand, Zhang Yuxi trembled suddenly, and a look of anger appeared on her face. "Really?" Asking knowingly. Zhang Yuxi said coquettishly in her heart, then raised her head and looked at Lin Feng with some dissatisfaction. I'm fine." Seeing Zhang Yuxi's stubborn look, Lin Feng smiled and forced his head to turn away. He knew that he couldn't look at her like this anymore. If he continued to look at her like this, he was afraid that he would not be able to help but want to kiss Zhang Yuxi. Who said his wife is so cute? 2 years ago, Lin Feng just thought that Zhang Yuxi had a hot body and outstanding looks. But now, he wants to marry her and let her accompany him to spend the rest of his life. And Zhang Yuxi also didn't expect that the slightly immature boy 2 years ago has now grown into a man, making her feel extremely stable. The two looked at each other, and their eyes showed deep love. The shopping guide next to them felt like a light bulb, unusually bright and in the way. "Sir? Miss?" The shopping guide called the two. After a long time, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi came back to their senses. The shopping guide still maintained a professional smile, forced herself to calm down, and said, "Sir, do you think these 4 sets are okay?" "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. The shopping guide smiled slightly, then took out the POS machine and scanned it on Lin Feng's mobile phone. Ding. Alipay has received 7,552 yuan. Hearing the prompt tone, the shopping guide immediately showed a happy smile. For this order, she can get at least 500 yuan in commission. Forget it. Eat dog food, eat dog food. The shopping guide adjusted her mood again and handed the invoice and 4 gift boxes to Lin Feng. "Sir, this is your invoice, please keep it. Welcome to visit next time." The shopping guide smiled and watched Lin Feng and the two leave the mall. Half an hour later, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi returned home. When they got home, it was already 7 o'clock in the evening. Sister Wang was holding the eldest child, Lin Pingping, sitting on the sofa and feeding him milk. Next to her, the second child, Lin Tuanchuan, was sucking his fingers and looking at Sister Wang and giggling. "Sister Wang, I'm really sorry to bother you. I asked you to get off work an hour later," Zhang Yuxi said to Sister Wang apologetically. "Oh, why are you saying this? I have nothing to do when I go back so early, so I can just accompany the baby," Sister Wang said, then put down the eldest child and stood up to help Zhang Yuxi get things. "Buy so much milk powder." Seeing the milk powder in Lin Feng's arms, Sister Wang said in surprise. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. "No way, there are so many babies." As he said that, he put the milk powder on the coffee table. "What is this?" Sister Wang saw the 4 gift boxes stacked together in Zhang Yuxi's hand and asked curiously. "This is the clothes I bought for the children." Zhang Yuxi took out one of the sets and said with a smile. "So cute." Sister Wang's eyes lit up immediately. She seemed to have thought of the cute and adorable look of the 4 babies after they put on this set of clothes, and a smile appeared on her face unconsciously. After all, no human can resist the cute attack of cubs. When the babies are 1 year old, they can wear them. Sister Wang suggested. The child's 1-year-old is of special significance to parents. At that time, you can call your parents and go back to your hometown to set up a table. If your wife is willing. That picture is very beautiful to think about. Just when Lin Feng was in a daze, he suddenly heard a mumbling sound in his ears. He looked to the side and found that Sanbao Lin Yuan was staring at him with watery eyes and kept looking at him. It seemed that Sanbao mumbled again when he saw Lin Feng looking at him. This sound was like a newborn puppy, which made people feel very comfortable. Yeah. Are you a Newton? Are you calling daddy? Lin Feng's heart melted instantly. He hurried forward, picked up Sanbao, and kissed him gently. After being kissed by him, Sanbao actually showed a happy expression, and then giggled. Seeing Sanbao's reaction, Lin Feng was more determined to raise them well. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly felt that these 4 children were the continuation of him and Zhang Yuxi. He swore that he must let them live a happy life. Lin Feng lowered his head and kissed Sanbao again. Sanbao seemed to be amused by Lin Feng, clenched his little fist, and hit Lin Feng's nose hard. Hiss. Lin Feng took a breath of cold air. This little guy is quite strong. After a punch, his nose was a little sore. Pudgy. Just after sending Sister Wang out, Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng being punched by Sanbao, and couldn't help laughing. Unexpectedly, this man can also be subdued. You're still laughing at me. Lin Feng turned his head and glared at Zhang Yuxi in an angry manner. Zhang Yuxi waved her hands and quickly pretended to be none of my business. His wife is getting more and more eccentric. Just when Lin Feng was about to tease Zhang Yuxi, a loud cry suddenly came from the house. It turned out that the 4th baby, Lin Anan, who had been sleeping in the house, was suddenly awakened by the noise outside and burst into tears. Zhang Yuxi rushed in, picked up the 4th baby, and gently coaxed him to sleep. When the little guy saw his mother, he stopped crying instantly, stared at Zhang Yuxi with his big black eyes, and blew bubbles from his mouth. He looked very cute. Seeing this, Lin Feng stood aside silently and watched very seriously. While Zhang Yuxi was coaxing the 4th baby, he quietly opened the system and checked it. Because just now, Lin Feng heard the prompt of the system. Because the host bought clothes for the baby, he fulfilled his responsibility as a father. Cash reward of 500,000 yuan. Obtain the skill while learning to speak. With a skill, the host can communicate with a baby anytime and anywhere, and understand what the baby wants to express. Lin Feng glanced at the system rewards. There are actually 2 rewards this time. In addition to cash, there is also a while learning to speak skill. With a skill, it will be much easier to communicate with a baby. Moreover, the amount this time is as high as 500,000. If it continues to accumulate, it is estimated that it will not be long before buying a house. Although the house where Zhang Yuxi lives now has 2 bedrooms and a living room, the community is very old and the lighting is not very good. In a day, the time that can be exposed to the sun will not exceed 2 hours. If you can change to a new house, it will also be of great help to the baby's growth. Lin Feng secretly decided in his heart that he must buy a house of his own in Yangchang before the baby is 1 year old. Chapter 11, Keeping Vigil for the Baby. While Zhang Yuxi was taking care of the child in the house, Lin Feng came downstairs in the community and called his roommate Liu Bo. He asked him to pack up all his things and send them over. After 2 days of getting along, Lin Feng found that Zhang Yuxi had completely accepted him. So Lin Feng thought that starting from tonight, he would move in and live there, which would also make it easier to take care of the child. Not long after, Liu Bo came running over breathlessly, carrying things. When he saw the name of the community, a smirk suddenly appeared on his face. Lin Feng, I heard that Teacher Zhang seems to live in this community as well. You kid, are you chasing Teacher Zhang? Lin Feng took the things from Liu Bo and said with a smile. What do you think? Hearing this, Liu Bo immediately became interested, put his arm around Lin Feng's shoulders, and teased. Sure, Zhao Feng. No wonder you bought so many cosmetics yesterday and said you were going to confess to someone. So you, kid, secretly, were actually planning to pursue Teacher Zhang behind our backs. Do you know how many people in our school want to pursue Teacher Zhang now? Let me tell you, half of the tenants in this community moved in to pursue Teacher Zhang. Lin Feng frowned when he heard this. He didn't expect his wife to be so popular in school. Let them give up on this idea. Teacher Zhang already has a child. Hearing this, Liu Bo's eyes widened, and he looked at Lin Feng in disbelief and said, You What did you say? Teacher Zhang has a child. This news. It's really shocking news. Seeing Liu Bo's stunned look, Lin Feng patted him on the shoulder and smiled. Just keep it to yourself, don't spread it around. I'm going back first. Liu Bo was stunned, looking at Lin Feng's back as he left, and couldn't calm down for a long time. He never thought that Teacher Zhang was actually married and even had a child. This is incredible. On the other side, Lin Feng dragged his suitcase and returned home. As soon as he entered the door, Lin Feng heard the 4 babies crying one after another. He could vaguely distinguish that the cry of the eldest baby, Lin Pingping, was the loudest. And the second baby, Lin Tuanchuan, followed closely behind. The two together could form a symphony orchestra. Lin Feng put the luggage in the corner, then walked into the room and helped Zhang Yuxi to feed the baby. Compared with before, Lin Feng's breastfeeding skills have been greatly improved. Of course, there is also the help of the breastfeeding mastery skill. I have to say that the things rewarded by the system are really practical. Not to mention cash. Just talking about the 3 skills of breastfeeding mastery, milk powder identification and while learning to speak, it is still very useful for junior dads. Inside the house, Zhang Yuxi is feeding the 4 babies. While feeding, she comforted softly. Be good, baby, don't cry. Drink enough milk and go to sleep. Lin Feng took the bottle and walked to Dabao, who was crying the most, and fed him milk. After feeding, Lin Feng gently patted Dabao's back to burp him. His technique was very skillful. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi showed a relieved smile on her face. In the past few days, Lin Feng has been taking care of the 4 treasures every day, almost never leaving. Zhang Yuxi also saw Lin Feng's efforts. She was even more touched by Lin Feng in her heart. After feeding the remaining herbao, Lin Feng was also a little tired, and whispered to Zhang Yuxi, "Wife, I'm going to take a shower first." Zhang Yuxi was stunned for a moment, and then said shyly, "Where do you sleep at night?" Lin Feng pointed to the big bed and said with a smile, "Of course I sleep here. I still have to get up to take care of the baby at night." Zhang Yuxi's pretty face became even redder when she heard this. Lin Feng knew that she was shy, so he couldn't help but tease her. "What? Don't you want me to sleep here?" Zhang Yuxi gritted her teeth, stared at Lin Feng fiercely, and thought to herself. She is obviously older than him. And she is his mentor, why should she be afraid of him? Zhang Yuxi snorted coldly, tilted her head and said, "You can sleep wherever you want, it's none of my business anyway." After that, Zhang Yuxi walked out of the room and ran to the living room to watch TV. Lin Feng stood there, watching his wife's figure going away, and couldn't help but smile bitterly on his face. It seems that he really can't anger his wife in the future. Otherwise, he will definitely suffer. Anyway. I finally stayed, which is also a big improvement. 5 minutes later. Lin Feng took a shower, put on a vest, and reappeared in front of Zhang Yuxi. Seeing Lin Feng's strong muscles, Zhang Yuxi's face suddenly showed a surprised expression. She never thought that Lin Feng's figure would be so perfect. It is the typical kind of thin when dressed, and muscular when undressed, which makes people feel fluttering. Why are you wearing so little?" Zhang Yuxi said shyly. "It's so hot, and I can't wear a vest." Seeing Zhang Yuxi's shy look, Lin Feng pretended to be dissatisfied. His tone was full of ambiguity. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi's face suddenly became hot. "Lin Feng, this guy. So bad." Zhang Yuxi glared at him fiercely, then turned back to the house and packed up his clothes. After Lin Feng finished blowing his hair, he also followed into the house. "Wife, you should go to bed quickly, you still have to go to class tomorrow." Lin Feng looked at the time, it was almost 12 o'clock in the evening. "What about you? Do you want to take a nap first? The baby will make noise at night, and you will have to get up several times." Zhang Yuxi asked with concern. Lin Feng shook his head, "I'm fine, I used to play games all night before, you go to bed first." Although Lin Feng wanted to sleep with Zhang Yuxi. But Zhang Yuxi was thin-skinned, and she had to go to class tomorrow. In order not to disturb her, Lin Feng chose to go to the baby's room next door to keep watch over the baby. Sure enough, after Lin Feng left, Zhang Yuxi fell asleep quickly. In the middle of the night, Lin Feng heard the baby crying and woke up instantly. "Baby, don't cry, Daddy is here, are you hungry or have poop?" Lin Feng walked to the crib and the first one he checked was the second baby, Lin Chuanchuan. Because just now, she was the one crying the loudest. It turned out that she had poop. Don't be afraid, Daddy will change it for you right away. Don't cry, don't cry. At this time, Zhang Yuxi heard the crying and came out from the next room. Wife, go to bed quickly, I can handle it. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi while changing the diaper for the second baby. Be good, go to bed quickly, you still have classes tomorrow, I can do it, believe me. Seeing that Zhang Yuxi refused to go back to the room, Lin Feng coaxed her like a child. Finally, out of helplessness, Zhang Yuxi looked at the baby and went back to the room to sleep. That night, Lin Feng was woken up by the babies no less than 3 times. Either the eldest baby peed, the second baby pooped, or the third and fourth babies were hungry. It was just dawn. The 4 babies finally fell asleep peacefully. At this time, Lin Feng was also very tired, even more tired than playing games all night. But looking at the sleeping babies, Lin Feng felt it was worth it. Ding. Because the host kept watch over the baby and fulfilled his responsibilities as a father, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Obtain skills, high quality sleep, with a skill. Every hour of sleep of the host is equivalent to 8 hours of sleep for an ordinary person, 6,666. The system is awesome. What you need is what you get. With high-quality sleep, Lin Feng only needs to sleep for 1 hour to get a day's sleep. This is really a good thing. Chapter 12. Let's go and get the certificate. System, start high-quality sleep. As soon as the voice fell, Lin Feng lay on the bed and fell asleep. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. Zhang Yuxi got up from the bed and stretched comfortably. She slept so comfortably yesterday. She hasn't slept so comfortably for a long time. But when she picked up her phone and looked at it, she was shocked. Why is it so late? Oh no, I'm going to be late. Zhang Yuxi thought to herself that it was not good, and hurriedly got up and ran to the bathroom to wash up. Before leaving, she ran to the baby room and took a look at Lin Feng and the 4 babies who were sleeping soundly. Seeing Lin Feng sleeping soundly, Zhang Yuxi showed a sweet smile on her face. It must have been very hard to take care of the babies last night. In the crib, the most well-behaved Sanbao and Sabao had woken up at this time. They stared at Zhang Yuxi with their big black eyes. Whenever she saw them, Zhang Yuxi felt full of strength. No matter how hard or tired it was, she had to stick to it for the money for the baby's milk powder. At this time, Sister Wang had come to work. She was in the kitchen heating up milk powder for the babies. Seeing Zhang Yuxi coming out, she showed a meaningful smile on her face. Are you up? Zhang Yuxi packed her textbooks while eating breakfast, not daring to look directly at Sister Wang. The babies seemed to sleep well last night, and they were all full of energy. It seems that Lin Feng, as a father, is still very responsible. Hearing Sister Wang praising Lin Feng, Zhang Yuxi felt a little happy. After breakfast, Zhang Yuxi carried her bag and went to school. At this time, in the classroom, the students were talking about it. Because I don't know who heard that Teacher Zhang seemed to have a child. Upon hearing this news, all the male students in the class were heartbroken. My goddess! Why do you treat me like this? Teacher Zhang is so beautiful, how can she have a child? That's right, look at Teacher Zhang's figure, she doesn't look like someone who has given birth to a child. Who spread this news? Is it reliable? I heard it from Liu Bo. Liu Bo said this news is 100% reliable. No way, I asked someone before, Teacher Zhang has never been married, how can she have a child? The world is so big that there are all kinds of wonders. Classmate, you are still too naive. Knock on your mother, you are the only one who is not naive, watching Tiga all day long. Stop talking, Teacher Zhang is coming. Accompanied by the sound of high heels hitting the ground. Zhang Yuxi appeared in the classroom in a white dress. She waved to everyone with a warm and gentle smile on her face. Everyone shut up when they saw her. But at this moment, a male classmate next to Liu Bo suddenly stood up and spoke loudly. Teacher Zhang, I heard that you have a child. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi frowned immediately. She looked at the other person with sharp eyes and asked coldly, who told you? The male student was frightened by Zhang Yuxi's sharp eyes. Not only him, but also Liu Bo next to him was scared. Because it was he who spread the news. Yes. The classmate was about to point out Liu Bo. Liu Bo immediately stood up and said loudly, Lin Feng told me. Lin Feng? Hearing this name, Zhang Yuxi showed a puzzled expression on her face. Why did he do this? No wonder the teacher in the office looked at her with that kind of eyes today. At this point, She couldn't hide it anymore. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said lightly, Lin Feng is right, I do have a child. After that, she picked up the lesson plan and started teaching. The class time passed quickly. After class, Zhang Yuxi didn't even go back to the office and went straight home. At this time, Lin Feng had slept for an hour and a half, and he felt refreshed. Just as he was about to go out for dinner, Zhang Yuxi came back. You finished the class so soon. Zhang Yuxi smiled, I only have one class today. After returning home, Zhang Yuxi did not rush to question Lin Feng. Instead, she ran into the house, took a look at the baby first, and then fed them. After feeding, Zhang Yuxi returned to the living room and glanced at Lin Feng, who was eating breakfast. Lin Feng, why did you tell others that I have a child? Hearing this, Lin Feng put down the buns in his hand and said softly, why can't I tell them? If I can, I even want to tell them that you are my wife. Seeing that he looked like he deserved to be beaten, Zhang Yuxi pouted in anger and stopped talking. Seeing Zhang Yuxi pouting in anger, Lin Feng felt a little funny. Why is his wife like a child? Suddenly, Lin Feng seemed to think of something important. He came over with a smile and said to Zhang Yuxi, Wife, is your household registration book at home? Zhang Yuxi was stunned when she heard Lin Feng asking about the household registration book. She was not stupid, of course she knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. Yes. Zhang Yuxi replied with a fluttering heart. In that case, how about we go get the marriage certificate today? Lin Feng stared at Zhang Yuxi with a warm smile. Ah. Zhang Yuxi's heart was pounding, and she whispered, You really want to marry me? Lin Feng nodded heavily and said seriously, Of course. I want to grow old with you. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he continued, Besides, this is also for the children. If we don't get married, what will happen to the children's household registration? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi immediately got motivated. That's right. For the sake of the children, we have to get married. Zhang Yuxi hurriedly ran into the house, took out the household registration book, and dragged Lin Feng out of the house. Let's go. I don't have classes this afternoon. Came downstairs. Lin Feng gently put the helmet on Zhang Yuxi, and his movements were very intimate. Zhang Yuxi was a little embarrassed, because she was not used to the fact that Lin Feng was her husband. In response, Lin Feng said softly, Wife, you have to get used to it slowly. I am by your side. Do you understand? Lin Feng's tone was very gentle, full of endless doting. Zhang Yuxi's heart softened when she heard this. She said softly, Then let's go now. As soon as Lin Feng's voice fell, the electric car began to move slowly. Zhang Yuxi sat behind Lin Feng, hugged Lin Feng's waist with both hands, and put her face on his broad back. Looking at Lin Feng's handsome profile, her eyes were full of admiration. She never thought that she would meet such an excellent man. It was like a dream. Chapter 13 Collapse in a moment. Half an hour later, Lin Feng drove an electric car and brought Zhang Yuxi to the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. After getting off the car, Lin Feng held Zhang Yuxi's hand and walked towards the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhang Yuxi looked inside nervously. She didn't expect that she would be so hasty to marry a boy. Although she had that kind of relationship with Lin Feng before, she never expected that she would become his wife one day. Go in, I'll go with you. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi nodded, followed Lin Feng and walked inside. Entering the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhang Yuxi saw that there were many people inside. Some came to get married, with joyful smiles on their faces, as if they were full of hope for the future. More, they came to divorce, with different expressions on their faces, some reluctant to leave, some turned against each other, and some were calm and at ease. It seems that the old saying is true. Happy families are mostly similar, and unhappy families have their own misfortunes. Zhang Yuxi and Lin Feng are very good looking, and no matter where they go, they are the focus of everyone's attention. At this time, Lin Feng held Zhang Yuxi's hand and came to the window for marriage registration. Hello, we are here to get the marriage certificate. Lin Feng smiled at the staff. Did you bring your household registration book? The staff looked at Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi, and a look of surprise flashed in their eyes. These two people look very young. They should have just been in love for a short time. They came to get the marriage certificate so soon, which is really enviable. Lin Feng handed the household registration book of the two to the staff. The staff took the household registration book, compared it with the two people, and then put it into the printer to make a copy. Then, She picked up the information form on the table and returned it to Lin Feng together with a household registration book. Fill in the information, take a photo, and when you are ready, come and give it to me. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi stood in front of the camera with sweet smiles. Click. The flash came on. The sweet smiles of the two were reflected on the film. After the photos were developed, the effect was very beautiful. Lin Feng and the staff took a few more photos to keep as a souvenir. Finally, it was the most exciting moment. The staff walked up to Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi and asked them if they really wanted to marry each other. Yes. The two looked at each other and said in unison. After receiving the marriage certificate, Zhang Yuxi looked at the red book in her hand, still a little unbelievable, as if she was dreaming. She actually married Lin Feng? This feeling was too unreal. Let's go. Lin Feng sat on the battery car and patted the back seat. Yes. Zhang Yuxi nodded, sat on it, and hugged Lin Feng tightly, as if hugging the whole world. Where are we going now? Seeing Lin Feng driving towards an unfamiliar road, Zhang Yuxi asked with some doubts. Buy you a ring. Lin Feng turned around and said with a smile, I have received the marriage certificate, how can I not have a wedding ring? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi was very moved, and then her pretty face turned slightly red. Her husband was really chosen. 10 minutes later, Lin Feng drove to Zhangjie Plaza. They found a jewelry store and walked in directly. Seeing the two, the clerk came up to them immediately. Sir, miss, how can I help you? The clerk saw Zhang Yuxi holding a red book in her hand and knew that a big customer had come. These two must be a newlywed couple. Generally, such customers are the main consumers of jewelry stores. I want to buy a ring. Lin Feng said to the clerk, then walked to the front of the counter and looked carefully. Sir, do you have any requirements for the ring? Well, do you have wedding rings? Yes. The clerk took Lin Feng to one of the counters and introduced, these are all men's and women's rings. Many newlyweds come to buy them from us. Lin Feng pointed to the rings in the counter and said to Zhang Yuxi, choose one you like. Zhang Yuxi looked at the various styles of rings and finally chose a couple's ring priced at 8,000 yuan. Seeing this, Lin Feng frowned. His wife is really used to being frugal. Lin Feng pointed directly at another ring priced at 50,000 yuan and said, take this one. Seeing the price, Zhang Yuxi shook her head and said, this one is too expensive. Let's buy the one on my hand. Although she said so, Zhang Yuxi's eyes were attracted by the other ring. The 50,000 yuan ring was inlaid with 8 diamonds and a 1-carat diamond. Under the light, it exuded a dazzling light and looked extremely beautiful. Any woman would probably be attracted by it. Of course, Lin Feng also saw Zhang Yuxi's eyes. He picked up the ring directly, put the female ring on Zhang Yuxi's ring finger, and then put the male ring in her hand. Wife, let's exchange rings now. Can you please help me put it on? Lin Feng said, and stretched out his left hand. Being watched by the clerk, Zhang Yuxi was a little embarrassed, but she still picked up the ring and put it on Lin Feng. Seeing this scene, the clerk next to him immediately applauded. Congratulations, both of you. I wish you a long-lasting love. These two rings will accompany you forever. Faced with a blessing, Zhang Yuxi was a little embarrassed. However, Lin Feng laughed heartily and took Zhang Yuxi to pay. After they left, the employees of the jewelry store immediately began to talk about it. Sure enough, sweet love belongs to others. That man is so handsome. The woman wanted to buy a cheap diamond ring, but the man didn't say anything and directly picked a 50,000 yuan wedding ring. It's so sweet. Alice, why can't I meet such a boy? Yes, I feel disgusted when I think of the stingy ghost in our family. It's such a pity. If the man hadn't been married, I would definitely keep his wedget. After leaving the jewelry store, Zhang Yuxi instantly regained her composure and couldn't help blaming herself. Zhang Yuxi, what are you doing? You obviously have 4 babies to raise. Your job is not stable yet, but you actually spent 50,000 yuan to buy a ring. You are such a spendthrift. Seeing that Zhang Yuxi looked unhappy, Lin Feng asked with concern, wife, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi suddenly became anxious. I should have stopped you just now. We still have a baby to raise, how can we spend so much money to buy a ring? She was so anxious that her eyes turned red, and she couldn't help crying. Zhang Yuxi, you are so ignorant. If this money is used to buy diapers and milk powder, it will be enough for 4 babies for more than half a year. It doesn't matter that Lin Feng is young and ignorant, but why did you follow him to do this? Seeing Zhang Yuxi's anxious look, Lin Feng suddenly felt a little sad. He suddenly felt that he owed this woman too much. He hugged Zhang Yuxi, who was crying bitterly, tightly and comforted her. Yuxi, I'm sorry. You've worked hard these past 2 years. Don't worry about money. I'm here. I won't let you and your child live a hard life. When I have money in the future, I will definitely give you a complete wedding and a house of our own. I will give you and your baby a happy future. Do you believe me? Chapter 14 Legal Husband and Wife. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi wiped her tears and looked directly at Lin Feng and said, I believe you, Lin Feng. You've already got the certificate, why are you still so distant? Call me husband. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and couldn't help but joked. Zhang Yuxi hesitated for a moment, but finally lowered her head and whispered, husband. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's unusual shyness, Lin Feng's heart was immediately moved. He didn't expect that a little joke of his would make Zhang Yuxi so shy. Let's go buy vegetables and celebrate in the evening. Yes. Lin Feng rode his electric bike and soon came to the vegetable market near the community. Since it was still early, there were not many people in the vegetable market. The two quickly bought vegetables. Lin Feng took Zhang Yuxi and carried a large bag of meat and vegetables, preparing to go home. But at this moment, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind. Lin Feng. At the entrance of the community, there was a student standing. He stared at Zhang Yuxi with a very surprised expression, and also looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng? Why are you with Teacher Zhang? Are you buying vegetables? Zhang Yuxi knew him. This student was the boy who stood up in class today and asked her if she had a child. Seeing this guy, Zhang Yuxi remained calm on the surface, but she was already panicking inside. Compared with her, Lin Feng seemed very normal. Whether it was inside or on the surface, Lin Feng looked calm and composed. Lin Feng, why are you here? Oh, I came here to deliver food and happened to meet Teacher Zhang. I saw her alone, carrying so many vegetables, so I helped her carry them. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi became even more panicked. Your excuse is really far-fetched. Lin Feng handed the dishes to Zhang Yuxi and said, Teacher Zhang, you go back first, I'll talk to him for a while. Zhang Yuxi took the dishes and nodded, then you guys chat, I'll go back to cook. The male classmate looked at Zhang Yuxi who was leaving and couldn't help showing a regretful expression. Alice. How come Teacher Zhang is so beautiful? She already has a child. You must be very happy to be her husband. Lin Feng heard this and felt secretly happy. Of course. Anyone would be happy to marry a wife like Zhang Yuxi. Huh? Lin Feng, why are you wearing a ring? You have a girlfriend. The male classmate was sharp-eyed and immediately noticed the ring on Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng smiled awkwardly and nodded, I guess so. Who is it? Isn't it Liao, the class flower in our class? The male classmate smiled gossipingly and continued, the class has been saying that you two are together for a long time, it seems that this is true. Lin Feng couldn't help rolling his eyes. What are you talking about? I have nothing to do with Liao, I don't bother to pay attention to you. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he turned and left. Seeing Lin Feng hurriedly leaving, the male classmate became more certain of his idea. That is, Liao and Lin Feng are together. This male classmate is the loudest mouth in the class after Liu Bo. Before long, the news spread throughout the school. Is it true? The class beauty Liao and Lin Feng are together. Classmates began to discuss. It's more real than pearls. I saw it with my own eyes. Lin Feng is wearing a ring on his hand. And when I asked him if he was with Liao, he immediately panicked. Hearing the male classmate's words, everyone looked at each other. Oh my god, they are really a couple. It has been rumored in the class that Liao has a crush on Lin Feng. It seems to be true. Although Lin Feng is a little poor, he is still quite handsome. Lin Feng has the highest appearance in the class, and I used to pursue him before, but I didn't expect that he would be intercepted by the class beauty. Woo woo woo. My Yao, how can you be with someone so casually? It's okay that Teacher Zhang has a child, but even you treat me like this, I can't live anymore. After hearing this news, the female classmates in the class expressed their regrets, and the male classmates cried and howled. On the other side, Lin Feng returned home. The sound of Zhang Yuxi and the babies playing was heard from the baby room. Among them, the eldest child, Lin Pingping, was the loudest, and the second child, Lin Tuanchuan, was the happiest. The third child, Lin Yuanun, stared at Zhang Yuxi with her eyes wide open, as if she was afraid that she would leave. The fourth child, Lin Anan, was sleeping soundly, and she was still sleeping soundly even in the noisy environment. Just then, seeing Lin Feng coming back, Sister Wang came out of the kitchen. Lin Feng, congratulations. Tonight, I'll stay and help you two take care of the babies. You two, have a good wedding night. Hearing Sister Wang's words, Lin Feng felt a little embarrassed no matter how thick-skinned he was. It seems that Sister Wang also knew that he and Zhang Yuxi had obtained the marriage certificate. Thank you, Sister Wang. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Soon, Sister Wang prepared dinner. Tonight's dishes are very rich, including stewed pig's trotters, braised sparrows, cold broccoli, a steamed sea bass, and a bowl of crucian carp and tofu soup. Looking at the sumptuous meal on the table, Lin Feng suddenly felt a special warmth. Lin Feng filled a bowl of crucian carp soup and handed it to Zhang Yuxi, asking her to have a good rest. Zhang Yuxi took the crucian carp soup, feeling a little embarrassed, but still drank it. Sister Wang looked at the two of them with a smile, as if she was looking at her own children. Congratulations. In the future, you must live a good life. Hearing what Sister Wang said, Zhang Yuxi felt a little shy. Thank you, Sister Wang. But Lin Feng smiled and said nothing. After dinner, Lin Feng diligently cleaned the table and washed the dishes. At this time, Sister Wang had already put the 4 babies back in the next room. She stood at the door, looked at Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi and said, I will help you take care of the kids tonight, you two should have a good rest. Zhang Yuxi said shyly, Sister Wang, thank you for your hard work. Sister Wang smiled and showed a meaningful expression, it's okay, but you two should pay attention to moderation and don't get too tired. After that, Sister Wang walked into the room and closed the door. Only Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were left, standing there stupidly, a little at a loss. Isn't what Sister Wang said too bluntly? Then let's go into the room and sleep too. Zhang Yuxi was a little shy, but still whispered to Lin Feng. Zhang Yuxi remembered that night 2 years ago very clearly. At that time, they were both drunk and had sex in a daze. But she couldn't remember the specific details. Now, they have finally become a legal couple. So tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Bathing the Baby. Master Bedroom. In the bathroom, Zhang Yuxi put on pajamas, faced a mirror, and put on a light makeup. Normally, girls would remove their makeup before going to bed. But Zhang Yuxi knew that this was her wedding night with Lin Feng, and she wanted to show him her most perfect side. After putting on makeup, Zhang Yuxi also sprayed some perfume on her body. Finally, she took a deep breath and walked out of the bathroom. At this time, Lin Feng was half lying on the bed, and when he saw Zhang Yuxi coming out, he was stunned for a moment. Wife, you are so beautiful today. Lin Feng praised generously. This sentence came from his heart, without any exaggeration. Because Zhang Yuxi is really very beautiful. Delicate facial features, skin like cream, big eyes, a beautiful nose and cherry lips. In addition, she was wearing a suspender pajamas, revealing a large area of white skin, which added a bit of charm and temptation. At this time, Lin Feng's eyes became hot. Zhang Yuxi was a little embarrassed, but she still lay down on the bed and whispered to Lin Feng, Hubby, let's go to bed. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and took her into his arms. It was not until midnight that Zhang Yuxi fell asleep from exhaustion. Lin Feng turned on high-quality sleep, and slept for an hour, and then he regained his energy. With a skill, Lin Feng no longer had to worry about the problem of insufficient sleep. 7 o'clock in the morning. Lin Feng woke up. Zhang Yuxi was still lying on the bed, snoring. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi's pretty face and couldn't help but kiss her, then tiptoed to the living room. He first went to the next door and looked at the babies, and found that they were sleeping. So he ran to the kitchen and started making breakfast. The babies didn't see their mother all night, so they woke up soon. Not long after, they cried woo woo woo. Zhang Yuxi heard the crying. No matter how deep she slept, she would wake up immediately. Seeing Zhang Yuxi, Lin Feng quickly put down his breakfast and said to her, Go brush your teeth first, I'll take care of the baby. Okay, husband, thank you for your hard work. Zhang Yuxi nodded, then stepped forward and gave him a sweet kiss. After that, Zhang Yuxi ran to the bathroom, which made Lin Feng feel embarrassed. After Zhang Yuxi finished washing up, the 4 babies also quieted down. Today, Daddy will give you a bath. You all have to be good, Zhang Yuxi said to the 4 babies. Because after breakfast, she had to go to class. Every time she left home, it was a torment for her. She walked to the bed, kissed the babies one by one, and then told Lin Feng, Sister Wang went out to buy vegetables. When she comes back, she will help you bathe the baby. I will come back right after class. Lin Feng was reluctant to see her leave. After all, after last night, the relationship between the two became closer. Then come back soon. Zhang Yuxi nodded, then carried her bag and went out. While the babies were not crying, Lin Feng hurried to wash the dishes. At this time, Sister Wen came back from outside with vegetables. She put the vegetables in the kitchen, then took out a baby bathtub and said to Lin Feng, I'll teach you how to bathe the baby later. After Sister Wang finished speaking, she took Lin Feng to the baby's room and explained to him. To bathe the baby, you must first understand the baby's personality. 3rd and 4th babies are the most obedient when bathing, so they are usually bathed first. 2nd baby is more naughty. When bathing, he will splash water out. Dabao is the most troublesome. He may not like water very much, so every bath takes a long time. After listening to Sister Wang's explanation, Lin Feng was a little surprised. I didn't expect that Dabao, the most naughty and playful, would be afraid of water. Walk into the bathroom. Lin Feng put the bath water, and then with the help of Sister Wang, pushed the 4 babies in. Then, Lin Feng took out baby shower gel, talcum powder, thermometer, etc. from the cupboard. Bathing a baby can be said to be a big project. Lin Feng decided to wash the most obedient and least troublesome Sibao first. After feeling that the water temperature was suitable, Lin Feng took out a soft towel, spread it on the shelf, and then put Sibao in the bathtub. Now the weather is hot, so you have to bathe the baby frequently. Otherwise, the body will be covered with sweat stains, and the baby will feel uncomfortable. Hula hula. Yo. Accompanied by a burst of joyful voices, Lin Feng quickly washed Sibao. Seeing this, Sister Wang hurriedly put Sibao on the towel and gently wiped his body with a soft towel. Because the baby's skin is very thin, it is best not to use too much force when wiping. Sister Wang wiped Sibao's body while admonishing Lin Feng. She knew that she would leave this home in 2 days. Therefore, she wanted to pass on all her parenting experience to Lin Feng. Sister Wang then picked up Erbao and handed him to Lin Feng. Come, Erbao will wash you, and I will wash Sanbao. Among the 4 babies, Sanbao and Sibao have the closest personalities. They are all the kind of obedient babies who do their own things quietly. Erbao and Dabao are more naughty and noisy, and they lose their temper at any time. Look, Lin Feng just held Erbao in his arms. She started to play tricks, holding Lin Feng's hands tightly with her chubby little hands, and refused to take a bath in the tub. Erbao, be good, Daddy will wash you and make you smell good. How can a girl have a smelly body? Seeing this, Lin Feng coaxed Erbao while bathing her. However, in stark contrast to Erbao, Sanbao, who was being bathed by Sister Wang next to her, was much more obedient. In a few minutes, Sister Wang finished bathing Sanbao. On Lin Feng's side, she just put Erbao in the tub. Erbao started to splash water out, soaking Lin Feng's clothes. Erbao seemed to want to splash all the water in the tub by himself. Splash, splash. Lin Feng had no choice but to find a duck toy and put it in the tub to attract Erbao's attention. Erbao, be good. Daddy will play with you. Quacking. This trick really worked. Erbao immediately became quiet when he saw the duck toy. He hugged the duck toy tightly and kept making quacking sounds. After bathing the 3 little babies, the only one left was Dabao, the most difficult one. Dabao seemed to hate touching water. Before he even got into the tub, his face changed and he started crying loudly. Seeing this, Sister Wang hurried over to help, took off Dabao's clothes and put him in the tub. Dabao, be good. We're boys. How can we be afraid of taking a bath? Lin Feng comforted Dabao while bathing him. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly remembered that he seemed to have a skill called calling language. Using this skill, he can communicate with a baby. So, he used the cow wow to comfort Dabao again. Dabao seemed to understand what Lin Feng said, and slowly stopped crying and began to take a bath bravely. It's amazing. So this skill has this use? Soon, Lin Feng finished bathing Dabao, and Sister Wang also showed an admiring look. At this time, the system sounded. Ling. Because the host bathed the baby and fulfilled his father's responsibility, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Chapter 16. Lin Feng is such a playful kid. Yangcheng University. In the teacher's office, a young female teacher dressed fashionably said to Zhang Yuxi opposite her, "Teacher Zhang, how about we go eat Korean food after school?" Another older female teacher, hearing this suggestion, also interrupted and said, Okay, I like Korean ginseng chicken soup the most." Faced with the enthusiastic invitation of the two teachers, Zhang Yuxi shook her head and said guiltily, "Sorry, I have to go back for lunch." The young teacher was disappointed when he heard this, but soon returned to normal. "Okay, Teacher Zhang. I heard that where you live is quite close to the school, and it's convenient to go back for lunch." Zhang Yuxi always gave people the impression that she was a stranger who didn't want to be approached. And she has children, so it's normal for her to want to go back for dinner. So the two teachers were not surprised. "I just don't know who her husband is. He can marry a goddess like Teacher Zhang." The school bell rang. Zhang Yuxi picked up her bag and walked out of the office first. "Teachers, I'm going back first." Zhang Yuxi waved her hand and disappeared from everyone's sight. Other teachers began to discuss in a low voice. "Have you noticed that Teacher Zhang seems a little different today?" "Yes, she seems to have become more feminine." "Have you seen the ring on her hand? The diamond is so shiny, it must be worth a lot of money, right? It seems that Teacher Zhang's husband must be a rich man." "That's nonsense. Teacher Zhang is beautiful and a highly educated overseas returnee. How could she be interested in ordinary people?" On the other side. Zhang Yuxi pushed open the door and returned home. As soon as she entered the house, she smelled the fragrance of food. "You're back. Go wash your hands and eat." Lin Feng came out of the kitchen with dishes. "Okay, I'll go see the baby first." Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi ran to the kitchen to wash her hands first. Then she came to the baby's room and saw that the babies were sleeping soundly. She was relieved and returned to the living room to prepare for dinner. At this time, Sister Wang also came out of the kitchen with dishes and chopsticks, praising Lin Feng all the time. "Ms. Zhang, your husband is so capable. Now even if I leave, he can take good care of the babies." Hearing the praise, Lin Feng was a little embarrassed and said, "It's all because of Sister Wang's good teaching." As he said that, he poured a bowl of chicken soup and handed it to Zhang Yuxi. "Thank you, husband." Zhang Yuxi took the chicken soup obediently and started to drink it. Seeing this, Sister Wang narrowed her eyes again, with an envious look on her face. "Ms. Zhang, you are so lucky to find a husband like Mr. Lin." At the beginning, when she was hired by Zhang Yuxi to take care of her 4 babies, she still thought that Zhang Yuxi's husband was an irresponsible man who didn't even care about the children and left Zhang Yuxi and her mother aside. But now, she is happy for Zhang Yuxi from the bottom of her heart. The man in front of her is a good husband. After dinner, Zhang Yuxi is going to take a nap at home. In order to let Zhang Yuxi sleep peacefully, Lin Feng stays by her side, ready to get up and take care of the baby at any time. "Go to sleep, I'll call you when the time comes." Lin Feng touched Zhang Yuxi's head with a doting expression on his face. Zhang Yuxi slowly moved over and leaned against Lin Feng's legs. She couldn't sleep at all now. Looking at Lin Feng's handsome face, she was in a trance. Seeing this, Lin Feng asked softly, "What's wrong?" Nothing. I just hope I can see you every day when I wake up in the future." Zhang Yuxi confessed shyly. "Silly, you are my wife, of course you can see me every day." Lin Feng smiled and stroked Zhang Yuxi's black hair, his eyes as deep as the sea. Zhang Yuxi blushed when she heard this, and stopped talking. Not long after, Zhang Yuxi fell asleep. Lin Feng quietly got up and went to the crib to take a look. "Little troublemaker, why aren't you sleeping yet?" Lin Feng looked at Dabao, who was staring with his big black eyes and looking around. He couldn't help but lower his head and smell his butt. "Well, you stinky baby, you actually pooped, you are so naughty." Lin Feng teased his son while removing the diaper. When Dabao heard what Lin Feng said, he actually laughed, as if he was very happy. "What a naughty baby, you almost suffocated me to death, and you are still laughing." Lin Feng wiped Dabao's butt and helped him clean up. Seeing that the time was almost up, Lin Feng walked to the bed and woke up Zhang Yuxi. Since giving birth to 4 babies, Zhang Yuxi has not been able to sleep well for a single day. But now, with Lin Feng, she can not only sleep well, but also sleep peacefully. It is estimated that it will not be long before Lin Feng can become a qualified dad. Husband, I'm going to work. Zhang Yuxi kissed the babies one by one. Finally, she gave Lin Feng a sweet kiss, and then picked up her bag and went out. After Zhang Yuxi left, Lin Feng packed up and followed him out of the room. He was going to go back to the dormitory and move all the remaining things over. After returning to the dormitory, Lin Feng was surprised to find that Liu Bo and others were not playing games, but gossiping about something. What are you talking about? You don't play games anymore? Lin Feng asked curiously after entering the dormitory. Seeing Lin Feng coming back, Liu Bo winked at the other 2 roommates, and then began to sing in unison. You smell of her perfume, it's my nose that's guilty. Seeing the 3 funny roommates, Lin Feng was speechless. He knew that Zhang Yuxi had put on makeup and perfume today. At noon, he slept with Zhang Yuxi, so it was normal for her to smell of perfume. Soon, Liu Bo came over and asked with a smile, Lin Feng, what does it feel like to fall in love with a class beauty? What kind of feeling can I have? I feel numb all over. Lin Feng was too lazy to explain to them. Don't play dumb with me, you smell so much perfume. Did you go to get a room? Liu Bo asked aggressively. At this time, another roommate came over. He sniffed Lin Feng and said in confusion, no, this smell, why does it feel a bit familiar? I seem to have smelled it somewhere. Is there something wrong with your nose? Lin Feng hurriedly changed the subject and said, I won't talk nonsense with you guys anymore, I'm back to get some things, I have something else to do later. As he said that, Lin Feng picked up the remaining clothes and left the dormitory directly. Seeing Lin Feng leaving, the 3 roommates looked at each other with ambiguous expressions. You actually came back to get clothes? Lin Feng, this kid, is really having fun. Chapter 17 Sister Wang resigns. In the evening, Zhang Yuxi got home from get off work. She happily found Lin Feng and told him a good news. My probation period is over. Lin Feng was also happy for Zhang Yuxi when he heard it. Wife, you are awesome. Zhang Yuxi raised her little head and said proudly, of course, starting from tomorrow, my salary will increase to 10,000 yuan. Then, our pressure will not be so great. Wife is awesome. Zhang Yuxi smiled and looked at Lin Feng a little embarrassed. Wife, I want to discuss something with you. What's wrong? Sister Wang is leaving tomorrow, I want to give her more money, how about it? Sister Wang is also worried about the 4 babies. Lin Feng and the others saw this. Now that she is leaving, it is also human nature to give her some bonus. Okay, you decide. I'll give you the salary card, you can spend it as you like. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head, refusing. Why do I need your salary card? I have my own money. Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi was immediately unhappy. She frowned, pouted and said, just take it if I tell you to. Lin Feng hesitated. Okay, I'll take it, the baby won't be angry. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi smiled with satisfaction. The next day, Lin Feng settled wages with Sister Wang. On the basis of the original salary, he gave Sister Wang an extra 5,000 yuan. Why is there an extra 5,000? Sister Wang took the thick cash and asked with some confusion. Sister Wang, this is a little gift from us. Thank you for helping us take care of the baby during this period. Hearing this, Sister Wang said she would not accept anything. It's not easy for you 2 young people to raise 4 children. I appreciate your kindness, but I won't accept this money. Lin Feng stuffed the money back into Sister Wang's hand and said with a smile. Sister Wang, just keep this money. You have really worked hard during this period, and I will ask you more questions in the future if I don't understand anything. If you don't take the money, how can I look for you in the future? Zhang Yuxi saw this and followed up. Yes, Sister Wang, I got a permanent job today. This little money is nothing. Just take it. Sister Wang sighed and had to take the money. Okay, then I'll take it. After settling the salary, Sister Wang went into the house, packed her things, and prepared to leave. Zhang Yuxi saw this and hurriedly helped her carry her luggage and prepared to go downstairs to send Sister Wang. When she arrived at the gate of the community, Sister Wang's eyes were wet. I really can't bear to leave you. Zhang Yuxi also couldn't bear to leave Sister Wang. She wiped her tears and said, Sister Wang, Come and visit more often when you are free in the future. We welcome you at any time." Sister Wang nodded, then carried her luggage and left in the car. Zhang Yuxi adjusted her mood and prepared to go to school. Lin Feng went home and continued to take care of the baby. At noon, Lin Feng suddenly received a call from Zhang Yuxi. "Husband, I officially got a permanent job today. The teacher in the office said she wants to invite me out for dinner. I won't go home for dinner, I'll go back in the evening." In fact, it was Zhang Yuxi who suggested choosing noon. Because in the evening, she has to go back to accompany the baby and Lin Feng. "Okay, honey, don't worry, are the babies well behaved today?" "Very well behaved." "Then when you have time, take a few pictures and send them to me." "Okay." Lin Feng paused, then smiled. "Do you want mine?" Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes and said, "I don't want yours." At this moment, the voice of another teacher came from the other end of the line. "Teacher Zhang, let's go." "Okay, I'll be right there." "Husband, I'm going out. I'll hang up first. Bye." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yuxi hurriedly picked up her bag and left the office. The place for the dinner. They chose a Hunan restaurant near the school. Zhang Yuxi had just arrived and had a rather cold personality. So during the meal, only 2 female teachers dared to chat with her. These 2 female teachers were the ones who had invited Zhang Yuxi to eat Korean food before. One of them was young and beautiful, and her name was Han Wen. The other was older, but also very gentle, and her name was Tang Zilfang. They sat next to Zhang Yuxi and kept chatting with her about gossip. Just then, Zhang Yuxi's phone vibrated, indicating that there was a new message. She quickly opened it and found that it was photos of babies sent by Lin Feng. Han Wen sat closer to Zhang Yuxi, so she saw the photos in the phone at a glance. "Wow, what a cute baby. Teacher Zhang, is this your baby? It's so cute." Tang Zilfang heard this and hurried over, looking straight at Zhang Yuxi's phone. So cute. Zhang Yuxi was naturally very happy to hear the 2 teachers praising their babies. "Teacher Zhang, do you have other photos of your baby?" "Yes, I'll look for it." Zhang Yuxi originally wanted to ask Lin Feng to take a few more photos. But she was afraid that Lin Feng would misunderstand her meaning and directly send her his own selfie. So she had to close WeChat and flip through the previous photo albums. So cute. Teacher Zhang and his wife must be very good looking. Otherwise, how could they give birth to such a beautiful baby? "That's right, I want to get married and have a baby to raise." The younger teacher Han Wen couldn't help but mutter. At this moment, they suddenly discovered that these babies seemed to look different. Then, a photo of quadruplets suddenly caught their eyes. 4 quadruplets? Teacher Zhang, you gave birth to quadruplets? The 2 female teachers were so shocked that they were speechless. Seeing their expressions, Zhang Yuxi nodded a little embarrassedly. Han Wen and Tang Zilfang opened their mouths wide and looked at Zhang Yuxi with admiration. "It's amazing," they said in unison. Zhang Yuxi was even more embarrassed. The other female teachers at the scene, upon hearing the news, also looked at her with envy. Who would have thought that the tall and sexy teacher, Zhang, was actually the mother of 4 children? It would be great if they could be like Zhang Yuxi, who could keep a perfect figure after giving birth to children. Chapter 18 System Reward, a Riverview Room. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. Zhang Yuxi rushed to the baby room when she returned home. Seeing that the babies were all sleeping, she laid down beside the bed and murmured to herself, "My dear baby, do you miss your mother?" After watching for a few minutes, Zhang Yuxi reluctantly left the room and walked towards the kitchen. At this time, Lin Feng was wearing an apron and cooking in the kitchen. The fragrance filled the whole house. Smelling the fragrance of the food and looking at Lin Feng's broad back, Zhang Yuxi suddenly felt full of happiness in her heart. This kind of happiness was something she had never had before, and she had never had it with a boy. Zhang Yuxi sincerely thanked God for letting her have such a perfect husband. "Husband, you have worked hard these days. You have to take care of the baby and take care of me." Lin Feng turned around and smiled at Zhang Yuxi. "Why are you saying these things? It's so polite." Soon, Lin Feng took out the dishes in the pot and brought them to the table. While eating, Zhang Yuxi talked about the lunch party today. "When other teachers found out that I gave birth to quadruplets, they all showed surprised expressions. And they also said they would come to see the babies." Hearing this, Lin Feng said indifferently, "Then let them come. But what if they will recognize you?" Zhang Yuxi hesitated for a moment, and then said, "By then, our affairs will definitely be a big deal in the school." Seeing her worried face, Lin Feng comforted her, "Let's eat first. There's no rush for this kind of thing. We'll work it out when the time comes. Okay. Zhang Yuxi nodded absent-mindedly. Several teachers in the office have taught Lin Feng's class. If they come to his house, they will definitely recognize Lin Feng. Even if they don't recognize him, they will know everything when they look at the stud files at school. At night, while the babies are asleep, Lin Feng came to Zhang Yuxi and hugged her from behind. Don't worry, honey. If it doesn't work, I can just hide. Zhang Yuxi smiled and said, I'm not worried about that. I've already declined them before going to bed. Then what are you worried about? I'm worried that now that Sister Wang is gone, can you do it alone? Lin Feng deliberately lowered his voice and said with an ambiguous smile. Don't you know whether your husband can do it or not? Zhang Yuxi's pretty face blushed. Of course she knew what Lin Feng meant by this. In this situation, the two of them inevitably continued to communicate. Late at night, Zhang Yuxi was so tired that she fell asleep. Suddenly, a yeah sound came from the baby's room. You go to sleep, I'll go over and take a look. Zhang Yuxi was so tired that she couldn't even lift her legs. Lin Feng hurriedly let her go to bed, put on his slippers, and walked to the next door. When he came to the baby's room, he found that it was the second baby Lin Tuan who was making trouble. Little sweet baby, what's wrong with you? Lin Feng checked and found that Bao had pooped. Good boy, Daddy will change it for you now. After calming Bao's emotions, Lin Feng slowly pulled out the diaper and said with deliberate disdain. Well, Bao's poop is so smelly that it almost makes me faint. Hearing what Lin Feng said, Bao babbled as if he was refuting. Perhaps because he had the skill of wow while learning to speak, Lin Feng seemed to be able to sense the dissatisfaction that Bao wanted to express. Okay, Bao smells the best. It's Daddy's fault. Daddy shouldn't say that about Bao. Lin Feng apologized to Bao in a gentle tone. Bao wrinkled his nose and snorted when he heard it. Seeing this, Lin Feng showed a helpless expression. It seems that he can't use skills casually in the future. After changing Bao's diaper, the time has come to 12 o'clock in the morning. At this moment, the sound of the system suddenly sounded. Ling. Because the host has taken care of the baby wholeheartedly for a week and fulfilled his responsibilities as a father. Award a 120 square meter finely decorated house in Rongtaehaoding. Coordinates, number 108, Jianai Road, Yangchang. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes widened suddenly, and he almost screamed out in excitement. A reward house? This Rongtaehaoding, Lin Feng had been to deliver food before. It can be said to be a high-end residence in Yangchang, and it is a riverview house. In Yangchang, where every inch of land is valuable, any house is worth at least 2 or 3 million. And the unit price of Rongtaehaoding is 50,000 per square meter, 120 square meters. That's a full 6 million. This reward is more expensive than all the previous rewards combined. Not long ago, Lin Feng secretly vowed to buy a house of his own before the baby turned 1 year old. But he never expected that the system would help him realize it directly. Wait. Where is the real estate certificate? Lin Feng asked the system. System, where's the real estate certificate? The real estate certificate is temporarily stored in the system space, and the host can take it out at any time. Then check it out. As soon as the voice fell, a red book appeared on the coffee table in the living room. There was also a bunch of keys and 2 access cards. Lin Feng hurried over, picked up the red book and took a look. 808, Building 8, Number 8? This house number is really auspicious. If it is sold at that time, it is estimated that it will be much higher than the market price. Lin Feng took the property certificate, looked at it carefully, and then put it in his pocket. He couldn't wait to move out of this house and live in a new house. This house not only has poor lighting, but also poor sound insulation. The most important thing is that such a bad house, just because it is in Yangchang, the monthly rent is as high as 5,000 yuan. However, this matter cannot be rushed. Lin Feng needs to think carefully about how to convince Zhang Yuxi. After all, anyone would be shocked to have an extra house for no reason. Click your hands and ask for a recommendation vote, so that everyone can live in a riverview room. Chapter 19, Taking My Wife to See a House. That night, Lin Feng was so excited that he couldn't sleep. Early in the morning, he got up and prepared breakfast for Zhang Yuxi. Seeing Lin Feng busy, Zhang Yuxi felt distressed. He worked so hard yesterday and had to get up early to make breakfast. Her husband is really amazing. Husband, don't be so troublesome in the future. I can just go out to eat by myself. Lin Feng smiled. It's okay. Do you have classes today? Let me see. Zhang Yuxi opened the class schedule and took a look. She was surprised and said, I forgot that I don't have classes today. That's good. I'll take you somewhere later. Lin Feng said mysteriously. Where are you going? It's so mysterious. Lin Feng smiled but didn't say anything. Go change your clothes first, and you'll know later. Zhang Yuxi went into the room to change clothes, and Lin Feng began to tinker with the crib. 4 babies can be put in 2 strollers, so it's not troublesome to take them out. After tinkering with the stroller, Lin Feng ran to get a few diapers and made 2 bottles of milk powder. Seeing the babies smiling brightly, Lin Feng felt warm in his heart. Babies, we will soon move into our new home. Are you happy? Dad will work hard to make you live the happiest life in the world, okay? Just as Lin Feng was whispering to the babies, Zhang Yuxi also changed her clothes and walked out of the house. She was wearing a white short skirt with a blue shawl today, and she looked particularly young and beautiful, attracting everyone's attention. Wife, you are so beautiful. Lin Feng praised sincerely. Slippery tongue, shall we go now? Lin Feng nodded, then pushed the stroller and walked towards the elevator. Let's go, Dad will take you for a ride. The weather is very good today, and it is sunny and windy. The sun shines on the face, making people feel particularly happy. Lin Feng stayed at home and didn't go out much for a whole week. Now he can take his wife and children out, and he is still in a good mood. The weather is really nice. When he came downstairs, Zhang Yuxi also sighed sincerely. Seeing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but joked, Wife, aren't you afraid of being seen by people in school this time? What are you afraid of? Then I'll say that it was Lin Feng who was helpful and came to help me take care of the children. Zhang Yuxi stuck out her tongue mischievously. When Lin Feng heard this, he immediately showed a helpless expression. His wife is really quirky. Rongtae Haoding is not far from Yangcheng University, and it takes about 20 minutes to walk. But Lin Feng knows a small road that can save 5 or 6 minutes. You can also see the river along the way, and the scenery is also very good. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi, each pushing a baby carriage, walked by the river. Both of them are very good looking, so the rate of turning back is also very high. Especially Lin Feng, with a strong body and wearing sportswear, he looks more like a young fresh meat. Girls passing by can't help but take a few more glances. And Zhang Yuxi looks cold and elegant, just like a female star. Whether it is a boy or a girl, they can't help but stop and secretly look at Zhang Yuxi. Plus, the 4 cute babies in the stroller are the envy of passers-by. Oh my god, this couple is so good looking. Yet, they are not celebrities, right? I heard that there seems to be a film festival nearby. How can a celebrity bring his baby to a film festival? Anyway, this man is so young, he has become a father, and he can also accompany his wife to walk the baby. He is a good husband at first glance. I hope I can find a husband like him in the future. Do you also want to have quadruplets? It's not easy to raise a baby now. Hearing the comments of passers-by, Zhang Yuxi smiled happily. It seems that her husband is still very charming. She was very happy and didn't mind other people's comments at all. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's dazed look, Lin Feng couldn't help asking. Wife, what are you thinking about? Zhang Yuxi smiled slightly, looked directly at Lin Feng and said, Nothing, I just think that meeting you is the luckiest thing in my life. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled brightly. It is the luckiest thing in my life to marry such a beautiful wife like you. Zhang Yuxi's pretty face flushed after hearing this. Lin Feng lifted the curtain of the stroller to let the babies feel the fresh air. Come, little babies, take a look at this new world. Lin Feng just lifted the curtain. Suddenly, a foul smell came out. Before Zhang Yuxi could check which baby did the bad thing, Lin Feng went straight to Erbao. It was you. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yuxi was a little surprised. How did you know? Because Erbao was right next to me, she just pulled me with her hand, as if she was in a hurry. While explaining, Lin Feng took out a diaper from his bag and changed it for Erbao. Zhang Yuxi nodded and hurried over to help Lin Feng. After changing Erbao's diaper, Lin Feng found a trash can and threw it directly into it. In an instant, the babies were clean and refreshed. The blue sky above was also exceptionally bright. Okay, we're done with the exercise, let's go. After the walk just now, Rongtae Mansion was less than 5 minutes away from them. Zhang Yuxi was in a very good mood at this time, with a happy smile on her face. Not long after, the two arrived at Rongtae Mansion. When the security guard saw the two, his eyes narrowed immediately, and he was about to ask. At this moment, Lin Feng took out the access card and swiped it on the door. Ling. The door opened instantly. The security guard was a little suspicious. How come I haven't seen these two people before? Did they just move in? Just as the security guard was puzzled, Lin Feng walked up and asked, "Hello, uncle, let me ask, how do I get to Building 8? Building 8. The security guard looked at Lin Feng. "Young man, why haven't I seen you before?" "Oh, we are here to see the house." The security guard nodded and began to lead the way for Lin Feng and the others. Under the leadership of the security guard, the two soon arrived at Building 8. Building 8. "Thank you, uncle." "You're welcome." After the uncle left, Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng with some doubts. "Honey, should we move to another house?" Lin Feng nodded. "Yes, the house we live in now is close to the school, but the lighting is very bad. For the sake of the children, it's better to move to another house. That house not only has poor lighting, but also poor sound insulation. As soon as the babies cry, the neighbors will come to complain, which makes Lin Feng a little annoyed." Zhang Yuxi naturally knows all this. Now that she has been promoted, she can also afford to give the baby a better house. Chapter 20 Moving. Ling. The elevator opened. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi came to the door of room 808. Lin Feng took out the key, opened the door, and walked in first. This house is very big, and the living room is not small. It is twice as big as the one they lived in before. And the decoration style of the house is retro European style, which is very luxurious. Leather sofa, 80-inch TV, mahogany dining table. Almost everything you can think of is available here. The things rewarded by the system are really good. It's so beautiful. Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but exclaim as soon as she entered the house. Compared with the shabby apartment before, this place is like heaven. This house has 3 bedrooms, 2 balconies, 2 bathrooms, and a living room. She never expected to be able to live in such a house with a baby, and her heart was immediately wrapped in surprise. "Do you like it?" Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and asked. "Well, it's so beautiful here." Zhang Yuxi did not hide her inner thoughts. As she said, she ran to the balcony again and looked at the scenery outside. "Hubby, come here quickly, you can see the river here." Lin Feng followed and looked at the wide river view outside, then said, "At night, all the lights on the riverside will be on, and the scenery will be more beautiful. Then, will we live here in the future?" Zhang Yuxi said, and the smile on her face gradually disappeared. "The rent of the house here must be expensive, right?" Lin Feng smiled and comforted her. "No money." Zhang Yuxi raised her eyebrows and looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. "Why?" Lin Feng smiled and took out a red book from his pocket and shook it at Zhang Yuxi. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi had an idea in her mind, but she quickly rejected it. "Impossible. This house can't be Lin Feng's. You know, he is still a student now, and he doesn't even have a stable job. And he has to work and study, so his family must not be rich. How could he afford a house here?" But the next scene made Zhang Yuxi dumbfounded. Lin Feng opened the red book, and it was written on it. 808, Building 8, Rongtae Haoding, owner Lin Feng. Is this really your house? After a long time, Zhang Yuxi came to her senses. Last night, Lin Feng had already thought about how to convince Zhang Yuxi. He nodded, looked at Zhang Yuxi and said, "Yes, this house is mine. My family has a distant relative who has liked me since he was a child, and he has several properties in Yangchang. Not long ago, he passed away and left a house for me." Although Zhang Yuxi was a little unbelievable, Lin Feng didn't look like the kind of person who would lie. "Is this house really left to you by your relative?" "Yes, otherwise how could I afford it?" Although a little shocked, Zhang Yuxi still believed it completely after listening to Lin Feng's explanation. Lin Feng walked over, pinched Zhang Yuxi's face, and said with a smile, "Who would have thought that I would be so lucky? Not only do I have such a beautiful wife, but I also have 4 lovely babies, and now I even have a house. When I make a lot of money in the future, we will sell this house and move into a villa." As soon as the voice fell, Zhang Yuxi stretched out her arms and hugged Lin Feng tightly. "Husband, you are so nice." Thousands of words, all turned into the sentence "you are so nice." Lin Feng stroked Zhang Yuxi's back and said softly, "In the future, our lives will get better and better." The two calmed down and began to plan how to lay out the new house. They planned to convert one of the secondary bedrooms into a baby room for the babies to live in. In this way, they can move in today. Do it as soon as you say it. After lunch, Lin Feng stayed in Rongtaehouding and began to design the baby room. Zhang Yuxi took the children back home to pack their luggage. 2 hours later, Lin Feng finally finished decorating the baby room. 4 small cribs, tatami-style design, and beautiful duck lights around them, look very warm. Lin Feng stood at the door, looking at the layout of the room, feeling relaxed and happy. Now, he finally had a sense of belonging to home. Lin Feng took out his mobile phone and called Zhang Yuxi. "Wife, have you packed up? Okay, come back soon." After hanging up the phone, Lin Feng rode his electric car as fast as he could and rushed back home. He helped Zhang Yuxi move all the luggage over. Since the house is well decorated, you can move in with your luggage. As for other furniture and so on, it is not too late to buy them when you need them in the future. Although there are not many things, they packed up this and that, and when they lay down, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning. "I'll go see the baby. You go to sleep first, you have classes tomorrow." Seeing Zhang Yuxi's sleepy look, Lin Feng said softly, "I want to see the baby too." Zhang Yuxi yawned and followed Lin Feng out. 4 babies, sleeping side by side in the cribs, the picture is very warm. They don't seem to be uncomfortable with the new environment, but sleep very sweetly. Seeing this, Lin Feng and the others quietly left the room. "Go to sleep." Lin Feng touched Zhang Yuxi's hair. Zhang Yuxi turned around, looked at Lin Feng and said, "Do you think the new house is too soundproof and we can't hear the baby's voice?" "It's okay, I'll get up in the middle of the night and go over to take a look." Zhang Yuxi nodded obediently. Then, like an octopus, she clung to Lin Feng. "Hubby, you've worked hard." "It's not hard, go to sleep quickly." Both of them were a little tired, so they didn't continue to communicate in depth. I don't know if it's an illusion, but Lin Feng always feels that he can hear the baby crying. But every time he goes over, the babies sleep like pigs. In desperation, Lin Feng had to open the bedroom door so that he could hear the baby next door. Lin Feng returned to the bed, hugged Zhang Yuxi, and was about to go to sleep. The system's voice suddenly sounded. "Ling, because the host has arranged a new house for the baby and fulfilled his father's responsibility, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Reward makeover skill. Change your appearance. With a skill, you can change the host's appearance at any time. Note, each use can only last for 4 hours and cover no more than 5 targets. If it is not used, the host will keep its original appearance." Hearing the voice of the system, Lin Feng was startled and woke up suddenly. This system is really not smart. It didn't come earlier or later, but just when I was about to fall asleep. Lin Feng looked at the new rewarded skill, which seemed to be quite powerful. With a skill, when other teachers come to visit, I won't be afraid of being exposed. Thinking of this, Lin Feng turned on high-quality sleep and began to sleep soundly. Chapter 21. Who says it's not my baby? The next day, Zhang Yuxi was still sleeping, and Lin Feng had already woken up. He carefully left the bed, walked to the next room, and looked at the 4 babies. At this time, Dabao and Erbao had already woken up. They stared at Lin Feng with their big watery eyes. Lin Feng knew that they must be hungry. Going to the kitchen, Lin Feng made milk powder for the babies. When he finished feeding the babies, Zhang Yuxi had also woken up and was brushing her teeth and washing her face in the bathroom. "Wife, during this period, you should take a car to work first. Wait a few days, I will buy you a car." Zhang Yuxi heard the words, spit out the foam in her mouth, and shouted outside the bathroom. "No, I can just walk to work, just as exercise." After moving to the new house, the journey to school is half longer than before. It will take nearly half an hour to go back and forth. Lin Feng knew that although Zhang Yuxi said so, she was actually trying to save money for herself. After all, who would not want to drive to and from get off work? In this way, she can come back at any time at noon to see the baby. "Wife, I'm going downstairs to buy groceries. What do you want to eat? Send me a WeChat message and I'll buy it." Lin Feng hesitated for a moment, but decided to get a car for his wife. After all, his savings are close to 1 million now through the system's rewards. If his wife doesn't want to waste money, then getting a second-hand car is also a good choice. After buying groceries, Lin Feng returned home. At this time, Zhang Yuxi had already gone to work. He came to the baby's room and saw that the baby was sleeping soundly. Lin Feng didn't disturb them, walked to the living room, and called Liu Bo. Liu Bo, do you want my electric car? What? You don't deliver food anymore. Liu Bo had been coveting Lin Feng's electric car for a long time. After all, for college students, being able to ride an electric car to and from school is also a very cool thing. If you have an electric car, are you afraid of not having a girlfriend? As a bachelor. Of course Liu Bo wants it. Lin Feng spent 2,000 yuan to buy this electric car from a senior sister. Counting it, it has been with him for almost 2 years. But now, since he has decided to buy a car, and Lin Feng is not going to deliver food anymore, he might as well do a favor and sell it to Liu Bo. Yes. Do you want it? I'll sell it to you at a discount. Liu Bo heard this and immediately showed a greedy expression. How much discount is it for a discount? 10% off. 10% off. Liu Bo nodded hurriedly and said, okay, deal. Where are you now? Lin Feng hesitated for a moment, then said, come to Rongte Haoding, I'll tell you something by the way. Liu Bo nodded, with a puzzled expression on his face. Rongte Haoding? What is Lin Feng doing there? At this moment, the sound of a baby crying came from the other end of the phone. Lin Feng's face suddenly darkened, and he said to Liu Bo, okay, I won't talk to you anymore, the baby is crying, I'm going to go see. Liu Bo heard this and immediately showed an expression of sudden enlightenment. So this kid is going to be a nanny. No wonder he doesn't even want the electric car. And hung up the phone. Lin Feng rushed directly into the baby's room. Period. He found the source of the crying, Sanbao Lin Yuan. Seeing this, Lin Feng's heart tightened immediately. Sanbao has always been the most obedient, why did she suddenly burst into tears? Could it be that she was uncomfortable somewhere? Lin Feng hurried forward and carefully checked Sanbao. He found that except for her slightly red nose, there was no other abnormality. He picked up Sanbao, put her on the ground, and let her play for a while. Not long after, she started to play happily, holding toys and throwing them around desperately. Seeing this, Lin Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that Sanbao wanted to come down to play. Thinking of this, Lin Feng also took Dabao, Erbao and Sabao down and let them move freely. After the activity, Lin Feng changed their clothes and put them back in the crib. The babies were also tired from playing and began to sleep soundly. Just then, the doorbell rang. Lin Feng walked to the door and looked through the peephole. It turned out that Liu Bo was here. Lin Feng did not shy away from this, and directly opened the door to welcome Liu Bo in. When he entered the house, Liu Bo saw Lin Feng wearing an apron and holding a bottle of milk in his hand, looking like a professional nanny. For a moment, Liu Bo found it hard to accept and said in surprise, Brother Feng, you really became a babysitter. Lin Feng glared at Liu Bo fiercely and hushed, keep your voice down, the baby is sleeping. Seeing this, Liu Bo was a little panicked and took 2 steps back in fear. Brother Feng, what's wrong with you? If you are short of money, just tell me, although I may not lend it to you. But you can't degenerate and become a babysitter. Lin Feng rolled his eyes at him and said unhappily, I'm not short of money. If you are not short of money, then why are you here as a babysitter? Before Liu Bo finished speaking, Erbao's loud cry came from the baby's room. Without saying a word, Lin Feng hurriedly ran in with a bottle of milk. Not long after, Lin Feng held Erbao in his arms, feeding her while speaking softly. Good boy, don't cry, drink milk. Seeing this scene, Liu Bo was struck by lightning. His legs softened and he collapsed on the sofa, not knowing what to do. After feeding Erbao, Lin Feng burped her and put her back in the crib. When he came to the living room again, he couldn't help laughing when he saw Liu Bo's dazed look. What are you doing? That expression. Liu Bo forced a smile and thought to himself. You scared me. If it weren't for the electric car, he would have run away long ago. Just when Lin Feng was about to tell him about business, there was crying again in the house. However, this time it was Dabao. Seeing this, Liu Bo thought to himself, the scene just now would not happen again, right? Sure enough, he guessed it right. Lin Feng ran into the house again, took Dabao out, fed him milk and burped him. His movements were smooth and smooth. Liu Bo hugged his fat self and felt extremely weak. Are you okay? Liu Bo couldn't laugh this time. He looked at Lin Feng and whispered, Brother Feng, why don't you get busy? I'll go back first. Lin Feng saw that he looked like he had been raped. Come in, I was just about to tell you about this. Lin Feng took Liu Bo and walked into the baby room. Seeing 4 cute and well-behaved babies in the room, Liu Bo was completely shocked. Fuck. 4 quadruplets. Seeing Liu Bo, the 4 babies smiled sweetly and started babbling. Liu Bo was completely captivated by it. These 4 babies are so cute. No wonder you want to be a nanny. If I can take care of such cute babies without paying, I can do it. Lin Feng walked up and hushed. Keep your voice down, don't scare the babies. Yes, baby, be good, don't be afraid. Uncle is a good man, uncle won't bully you. Oh, look at him, his little hands are desperately scratching there, trying to climb out. So cute, chubby, pink and tender, I want to steal them all. Hearing this, Lin Feng immediately punched him and said seriously, if you dare to touch them, I will beat you to death. Liu Bo touched his head with an innocent expression. Brother Feng, what are you doing? I was just joking, it's not your baby, why are you so excited? Lin Feng frowned and said in a deep voice, who said it's not my baby? Hearing this, Liu Bo was stunned. He opened his mouth in disbelief. Brother Feng, this kind of thing is no joke. I'm not kidding. I called you here just to tell you this. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22, Only by being a stay-at-home dad can you reach the top. Hearing this, Liu Bo's heart skipped a beat. He looked a little dazed, and after a long time, he spoke in a trembling voice. When did you even have a child? As a brother, you actually kept it from me. Liu Bo said this as if Lin Feng had done something to let him down. Actually, I only found out about it last week. Lin Feng said helplessly. Liu Bo touched his chin and showed a lewd smile. Brother Feng, the mother of the child, isn't it Liao, the class beauty? Recently, everyone in the class has been saying that you're dating her, but you just got together, and this child. Brother Feng, don't be a scapegoat. Lin Feng glared at him fiercely. Liu Bo immediately put away his smile and changed his words. Brother Feng, don't be angry, I was just joking. How could a Brother Feng be a scapegoat? At best, it was just an accident. So Brother Feng, tell me quickly, who is the mother of the child? To be able to give birth to 4 such cute babies, she must be a great beauty, right? Liu Bo was really curious about who the mother of the child was. Giving birth to 4 such cute babies at once was really amazing. I can tell you, but this time, you can't spread it out, understand? Brother Feng, don't you trust me? Lin Feng glared at him again. Liu Bo slapped his mouth and said in defense, Brother Feng, it was an accident last time. This time I promise to keep it a secret. Tell me quickly, who is the mother of the child? Lin Feng hesitated for a moment and said slowly, you know the mother of the child too. Liu Bo's eyes widened and he stammered, I know her? Could it be Liao? But how long have you been together, how could you have the child? You can't really. Liu Bo swallowed the 3 words take over hero when he said the last part. It's not Liao, I have known the mother of the child for 2 years. Is she in our class? I guess so. Liu Bo couldn't help but touch his nose when he heard it, then showed a Conan-like look and analyzed it carefully. It's not Liao, and she is in our class, and we knew each other 2 years ago. Liu Bo's brain was working very fast, recalling what he had seen and heard in the past few days. Lin Feng suddenly moved out of the dormitory and was mysterious all day. And he was also caught buying vegetables with Teacher Zhang. It was from him that he learned that Teacher Zhang had a child. Suddenly, a thought came to his mind. Could it be Teacher Zhang? Liu Bo said this sentence with great difficulty. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. Yes, the child's mother is Teacher Zhang. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Liu Bo was shocked beyond words. His eyes almost popped out. Fuck. It has to be you, Brother Feng. Both are college students, and both have handsome faces. I'm still a single dog, but you even have a wife and children, and the child's mother is the tutor of our class. It's true that comparing goods will make you throw them away, and comparing people will make you die. Lin Feng ignored Liu Bo, but took out the electric car key and handed it to him. Don't talk nonsense to me here. My car is parked downstairs, just drive away. We are brothers. I was joking when I said I would sell it to you. Liu Bo looked a little confused, but he finally took out his phone and said, Brother Feng, you have a family now, and it's not easy to raise 4 children. I'll give you some money. Lin Feng patted Liu Bo on the shoulder. I appreciate your kindness, but I'm not short of money now. It's time now. Why are you still pretending to me? I'll transfer it to you directly through WeChat. Seeing that Liu Bo insisted on giving money, Lin Feng pointed to the house and said, Do you know how much this house costs? Although he didn't know what Lin Feng wanted to do, Liu Bo still spoke honestly. If you buy a house in Rongtaehaoding now, it should cost 50,000 yuan per square meter. If you want to rent such a big house, it will cost at least 10,000 yuan a month, so. This house is mine. Before Liu Bo finished speaking, Lin Feng interrupted him directly. This house is yours. Liu Bo said in shock. Lin Feng nodded and told Liu Bo the same story he had used to fool Zhang Yuxi. Are you kidding me? If you had such a relative, why didn't he support you when you were in college? Now that he's passed away and the family property is being divided, he thinks of you. Lin Feng's next words left Liu Bo speechless. Maybe he wanted to test me. Liu Bo gritted his teeth. Have you read too many novels? He's still testing you. He hesitated for a moment, then said, Okay, then I'll take the car. If you need anything in the future, you can always come to me. After saying this, Liu Bo himself felt a little funny. Damn. Now Lin Feng is rich. He is the poorest one in the whole dormitory, okay. At this moment, the sound of a baby babbling came from the room again. I'll go see the baby. Lin Feng said, then turned and walked towards the baby's room. This time it was Sibao who was crying. He probably missed his mother, so Lin Feng held him in his arms and gently comforted him. Hearing the voice, Liu Bo followed in and couldn't help asking, Lin Feng, what will you do in the future? You are still so young and you are good at studying. Are you really willing to be a full-time dad? If it were Liu Bo, he would definitely not be willing. Lin Feng smiled and said, What's wrong with being a dad? Being a dad can still shine and heat. As long as you are happy. Liu Bo sighed helplessly. Lin Feng knew that he was thinking about himself. But Liu Bo didn't know that Lin Feng could only reach the peak of his life by becoming a dad. Who made him awaken the fatherly love is like a mountain system. The two chatted for a while. Liu Bo looked at the time and found that it was getting late. So he said goodbye to Lin Feng, went downstairs alone, and drove away the battery car. On the way back to the dormitory, Liu Bo's face was full of envy. Lin Feng, this kid, is so lucky. Not only did he marry a goddess like Teacher Zhang as his wife, but he also had 4 well-behaved and cute babies. If he also had such a cute baby. So what's wrong with letting him be a full-time dad? Chapter 23 Teacher Zhang was cheated? Yangcheng University. Teacher's office. Han Wen saw Zhang Yuxi's listless and drowsy appearance, and couldn't help asking. Teacher Zhang, what did you do yesterday? You look listless. Didn't you get enough rest? Han Wen's voice just fell, and it attracted the attention of Tang Zifeng next to her. Teacher Zhang must be tired of taking care of the babies, right? After all, they are quadruplets. When I was taking care of the babies, I couldn't get enough sleep. The two of them said this, which made Zhang Yuxi a little embarrassed. In fact, the babies are taken care of by their fathers. I don't worry much. Hearing this, Han Wen's eyes suddenly lit up and said in surprise. A full-time dad? That's amazing. Didn't you ask the confinement nanny to help? Zhang Yuxi smiled and shook her head and said, after he came, we asked the confinement nanny to go back, but he is still very meticulous in taking care of the babies, so I feel relieved. Tang Zifeng followed and exclaimed, that's really amazing. Han Wen looked envious and muttered to herself. It would be nice if I could find a husband like this. I just don't know what Teacher Zhang's husband looks like. However, a man who can be favored by Teacher Zhang should be of good quality. At this moment, Tang Zifeng raised her eyebrows, showed a meaningful smile, and said to Zhang Yuxi. Teacher Zhang, I think you are tired at night. Zhang Yuxi's pretty face flushed immediately, and she shook her head and said, No, we were busy moving yesterday. Moving? Han Wen hurriedly asked, where did you move to? Rongtaehaoding. Zhang Yuxi replied. The rent there doesn't seem to be cheap. It's just been built for less than 2 years, and it's a riverview room, and the location is also very good. Tang Zifeng seemed to be very familiar with real estate and spoke casually. Han Wen frowned and echoed, it's indeed not cheap. I have seen the houses there before. 1 bedroom and 1 living room, the cheapest one costs 5,000 yuan. If you want to buy it, even a small apartment will cost several million. Hearing the conversation between the two, Zhang Yuxi showed a surprised expression. Are the houses in Rongte Mansion so expensive? Tang Zifeng was even more shocked than she was. Don't you know? This is my husband's house. I just found out yesterday that he has a house there. Han Wen exclaimed, wow, I said that the man who can marry Teacher Zhang must have a good family background. How much is your down payment, and how much is the monthly mortgage? Zhang Yuxi shook her head. We don't have a loan. Tang Zifeng widened her eyes and said in disbelief, did you buy it in full? Zhang Yuxi repeated the story that Lin Feng told verbatim. After listening, Han Wen and Tang Zifeng were both stunned. Han Wen said with great envy, your husband's luck is really good, just like the protagonist of a novel. Tang Zifeng nodded and said nothing. Zhang Yuxi smiled, I think so too. At first I thought he was lying, but when I think about it, it seems that he doesn't have to lie to me. Just then, the class bell rang. Zhang Yuxi picked up the textbook and said, I'm going to class first. After Zhang Yuxi left, Tang Zifeng's face suddenly darkened. Teacher Han, I don't think it's right. Han Wen hurried over and asked, what's wrong? Teacher Zhang just said that they let the nanny go back because the child's father came. That means that she and the nanny were the only ones taking care of the child before, so where is her husband? Also, the house in Rongtaeoding was only built in the past 2 years. If it's true as her husband said, that his relatives gave it to him, that's unlikely. Because if the house is given away before 2 years, the taxes to be paid are very scary. At this time, Han Wen also reacted and whispered. So what you mean is? Teacher Zhang was deceived. Tang Zifeng shook her head, I don't know, I just think it's not normal. After listening to your analysis, I remembered that we always proposed to go see the baby before. But Teacher Zhang always refused us. Do you think, is it related to his husband? Tang Zifeng nodded and thought about it. That's exactly what happened. How about this, after school, we follow Teacher Zhang and go to her house to have a look no matter what. Soon. The bell rang for the end of get out of class. Han Wen suggested that the three of them have dinner together. After dinner, Tang Zifeng and Han Wen took Zhang Yuxi to a baby products store. Tang Zifeng picked up the clothes in the store and carefully selected them. Then she walked over and asked Zhang Yuxi, Teacher Zhang, how old is your baby? Almost 6 months. Zhang Yuxi said absent-mindedly. She just wanted to go home early now, and didn't know why Teacher Tang and Teacher Han insisted on dragging her shopping. 5 minutes later. Seeing Tang Zifeng and Han Wen picked out 4 clothes for the baby. Zhang Yuxi reacted and waved her hands hurriedly, saying, Teacher Tang, Teacher Han, there is no need to spend so much money. We have clothes for children at home. Hearing this, Tang Zifeng smiled, hey, how can I go to your house as a guest empty-handed? Go to my house as a guest. Zhang Yuxi was stunned for a moment. Didn't you say you wanted to go to my house when we were having dinner just now? Seeing this, Han Wen hurried out to help. Teacher Zhang, we have wanted to go see the baby for a long time. We don't have classes tomorrow, so let us go to your house and sit for a while. It has come to this. If Zhang Yuxi refuses again, it will seem a bit unkind. But the problem is that both of them have taught Lin Feng. What if they recognized Lin Feng? Tang Zifeng saw that Zhang Yuxi was a little flustered. She was more certain in her heart that Zhang Yuxi must have been deceived. Otherwise, why did she always hide it and not let herself go to see the baby? Let me talk to the child's father. The house is messy, let him clean it up, so as not to make a fool of yourself. After Zhang Yuxi finished speaking, she walked out of the store and called Lin Feng. Husband. Hearing Zhang Yuxi's tone, Lin Feng knew something was wrong. What's wrong? The thing is, Teacher Tang and Teacher Han suddenly said they want to visit our house today. Hearing this, Lin Feng said indifferently, okay, just let them come. Zhang Yuxi suddenly became anxious and said in a low voice, but, they have all taught you. If they come to our house, won't you be exposed? If they knew about this, the school leaders would definitely know it. Zhang Yuxi didn't want to lose this job. After all, she had just been promoted to regular employee, and there were 4 children waiting for her to raise. Lin Feng comforted her, wife, don't worry. I always sit in the last row in class, and I don't go to class very often. Plus there are so many classes, they definitely won't recognize me. Zhang Yuxi was still a little worried. Really can't recognize them. Of course, people nowadays are more or less face blind. When the time comes, I'll put on some makeup and I guarantee they won't recognize me. Zhang Yuxi hesitated for a moment, but still nodded and agreed. Now she can only hope that the two teachers' face blindness is a little more serious. Chapter 24, Visit. After leaving the baby products store, the three of them went to Walmart and bought some ingredients. They planned to let Zhang Yuxi's husband show off his cooking skills in the evening. After coming out of Walmart, the three of them were carrying all kinds of ingredients. Tang Zifeng drove the car, carrying Zhang Yuxi and Han Wen to Rongte Mansion. Squeak. The door opened. Zhang Yuxi led the two into the house. As soon as they entered the door, the first thing that caught their eyes was the luxurious European-style decoration. This decoration style is so beautiful. I want to buy a house in this style in the future. Tang Zifeng also liked it and looked around. Zhang Yuxi took all the ingredients bought from Walmart to the kitchen and found that the rice was already cooking. There was also a stew pot on the stove, and I didn't know what was stewing. But the smell coming out of it was still very tempting. Han Wen glanced at the living room and asked, "Teacher Zhang, is your husband not at home? Maybe he's taking care of the baby in the house." Zhang Yuxi raised her eyebrows and said nervously. Han Wen immediately became interested and hurriedly said, "Teacher Zhang, please take us to see the baby." Zhang Yuxi nodded and walked towards the baby room with heavy steps. Han Wen and Tang Zifeng followed her with excited expressions. Because soon, they will be able to see Zhang Yuxi's legendary husband. Zhang Yuxi came to the door and gently pushed it open. Inside the room, Lin Feng was feeding the second baby, while the first baby was holding a toy and kneading it. "Husband, Teacher Tang and Teacher Han are here." Zhang Yuxi knocked on the door and said softly. Hearing this, Lin Feng immediately turned on the change appearance function and set the target to Tang Zifeng and Han Wen. He made a slight adjustment to his appearance, which became a little different from before. After the adjustment, Lin Feng raised his head and greeted the outside of the door, "Teacher Tang, Teacher Han, hello." Seeing the man in front of them, Tang Zifeng and Han Wen were stunned. They didn't expect that the husband Zhang Yuxi mentioned was such a young and handsome guy. He was tall, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and a clean face. A pair of dark and deep eyes flashed with wisdom and tenacity. Although he was wearing very ordinary clothes, he still couldn't hide his straightforward and sunny temperament. Especially when he smiled and greeted Han Wen. Han Wen felt that she was about to fall. If he hadn't been married to Teacher Zhang, she would definitely pursue this man madly. "Hello, hello." Seeing Lin Feng greet her, Han Wen smiled and replied sweetly. Zhang Yuxi was watching from the side, and cold sweat was about to come out. She kept praying in her heart, "Teacher Tang and Teacher Han, face blindness will soon show up. I don't know if my prayers move God." Neither of them seemed to recognize Lin Feng's appearance. Zhang Yuxi was relieved immediately. Tang Zifeng looked at Lin Feng. Although she felt that he was a little familiar, she didn't associate him with her students. "Sorry, Mr. Lin. I hope I didn't cause you any trouble with my sudden visit." Han Wen stood aside and nodded like a fangirl. Lin Feng smiled and said, "You are too polite. Yuxi has received a lot of care from you at school. I was wrong not to treat you to dinner earlier." Hearing this, Tang Zifeng was a little surprised. She didn't expect that Zhang Yuxi's husband, who looked young, had a high EQ. This made her look at Lin Feng with a new eye. "Wife, I have already fed the 4 babies. You stay here and chat with the 2 teachers. I will go to cook for you." Zhang Yuxi nodded and was about to say, "Hubby, you have worked hard." But in front of the 2 teachers, she was a little embarrassed to say it. After Lin Feng left, Han Wen hurried to the crib and looked at the 4 cute babies. "Teacher Tang, come and see. These 4 babies are so cute. I really want to kiss them, hug them, and hold them up high. Seeing them makes me want to find a man and give birth to a baby to play with." Han Wen was as excited as a fangirl who saw an idol. Zhang Yuxi smiled and walked over to tease the 4 babies. "Teacher Han, your future children will definitely be very cute." Han Wen shook her head. "That's not necessarily true. You 2 have to be good looking. Only you 2, Teacher Zhang, can give birth to such cute babies." Tang Zifeng is a dozen years older than the 2 of them, and her child is already in elementary school. But at this time, seeing such cute babies, her maternal instincts also exploded, and she couldn't help but exclaimed, "Teacher Zhang, your 4 babies are so cute. Everyone is white and plump, and looks very healthy. Hearing the two people's praise, Zhang Yuxi didn't want to take all the credit. This is all because of the good care of the children's father. She looked down at the 4 babies who were blinking, and her expression was very gentle. Sibeo is the youngest and has the worst physique, so he sleeps all day. But after my husband appeared, he took extra care of Sibeo, so now Sibeo has become more lively. Han Wen heard this and was envious. Teacher Zhang's husband is really the best man in the world. Tang Zifan also nodded in agreement. But suddenly, she changed the subject and looked at Zhang Yuxi and asked, Teacher Zhang, why do I always feel that your husband looks a little familiar? After saying that, she looked at Han Wen again. Teacher Han, what do you think? Hearing this, Zhang Yuxi suddenly became nervous. She held her breath and looked outside a little at a loss. At this time, Han Wen said jokingly, Teacher Tang, don't say he looks familiar just because he is handsome. Tang Zifang smiled awkwardly and did not continue to discuss it. After all, it is indeed a bit impolite to discuss her husband's appearance in front of others. Seeing this, Zhang Yuxi breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go out for dinner, the dishes should be ready. During dinner, Han Wen couldn't help but look at Lin Feng for a few times, and suddenly said, You know what, I think Mr. Lin does look a little familiar. Zhang Yuxi's heart was lifted again. Lin Feng looked calm, and slowly said, Many people have said that I look like Takashi Kaneshiro before. Maybe that's why you think I look familiar. After hearing this, Han Wen was speechless. Although Lin Feng does look a bit like Takashi Kaneshiro, she wouldn't be confused, right? But she couldn't tell who Lin Feng looked like. She just felt that this face seemed to have been seen somewhere. After dinner, Tang Zifang and Han Wen drove away from Rongte Haoding. On the way, Tang Zifang said to Han Wen, Teacher Han, don't you think it's strange? It's okay if one person admits the mistake, but what is the probability that 2 people admit the mistake? Han Wen was scrolling through Douyin, watching the funny videos in it, and laughed like a silver bell. She replied absent-mindedly, Oh, we teachers have to teach so many students every year. Maybe Teacher Zhang's husband looks a bit like one of the students, that's normal. Hearing this, Tang Zifan suddenly had a bold idea in her mind. Do you think it's possible that Teacher Zhang's husband is our student? Han Wen curled her lips when she heard this. Impossible, if there is such a handsome student, how could I not remember him? Tang Zifan thought about it and felt that what Han Wen said made sense. After all, Han Wen was a famous flower maniac in the office. As long as they were handsome guys in the school, she knew them all. How could she make a mistake? Chapter 25 You'll have a hard time tonight. Inside the house. After Tang Zifang and Han Wen left, Zhang Yuxi's tense nerves finally relaxed. I was really scared just now. I thought they recognized you. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and asked curiously. What would you do if they really recognized me? What else can I do? I can only find another job. Zhang Yuxi waved her hand, stood up and said, You cook today, and I will wash the dishes. Zhang Yuxi said, and then put the dishes into the kitchen, then put on an apron and started washing the dishes. At this moment, the phone in her pocket suddenly rang. Zhang Yuxi wiped her hands, took out her phone and looked at it. Her face suddenly changed. She looked towards the living room and found that Lin Feng had returned to the house and continued to take care of the baby, so she answered the phone. Yuxi, are you doing well? A woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Her name is Lan. She is Zhang Yuxi's good friend. I'm fine, what's wrong? Nothing, I just wanted to see how you've been doing lately. And Lan hesitated for a moment, then continued, A few days ago, my aunt came to see me and asked me about you. Zhang Yuxi raised her eyebrows and said, Then, what did you say? I didn't say anything. After all, I don't know where you are now. 2 years ago, Zhang Yuxi left home alone. No one knew where she went. Even her best friend in Lan didn't know how she was doing. Well done. If you dare to tell my mom, I will break off relations with you. Zhang Yuxi said with a cold face, threateningly. Yes. And Lan just replied with a word faintly. Zhang Yuxi held the phone and was silent for a long time, then asked, What about you? How have you been recently? I'm still the same. What about you? What are you going to do in the future? Zhang Yuxi shook her head. I don't know, let's take it one step at a time. Are you short of money? I'll transfer some to you. No, I'm doing well now, you don't have to worry about me. And Lan sighed, We have been friends for more than 10 years, you don't have to be polite to me, Just tell me if you have any difficulties, okay? At this time, the baby's crying came from the living room, and Zhang Yuxi looked up and looked outside. I saw Lin Feng holding the bottle and feeding the baby. The scene was very warm. With such a warm home, what could Zhang Yuxi complain about? I'm doing well, really. And Lan could tell that Zhang Yuxi was not lying, so she nodded and said, okay then. After a while, when they are no longer angry, I will go find them. Or, after a few years, when the babies grow up, they will forgive me for the sake of the children. And Lan nodded and agreed. From the tone of Auntie, it seems that she misses you very much. It will probably be soon. I hope so. Thinking of her old-fashioned father, Zhang Yuxi shook her head helplessly again. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yuxi's mood became heavy. What's wrong, wife? At this time, Lin Feng had finished feeding the baby, and seeing Zhang Yuxi in a daze in the kitchen, he couldn't help asking. I'm fine. Zhang Yuxi smiled again and said to Lin Feng, when are you free? Let's go register the baby. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Zhang Yuxi remembered that she hadn't registered the baby yet. I actually forgot about this, so stupid. Zhang Yuxi patted her head with a silly expression. Lin Feng smiled and said, people say that pregnancy makes a woman stupid for 3 years, but she will be fine after another year. The next day, Zhang Yuxi happened to have no classes. So she followed Lin Feng and took the 4 babies to register their household registration. The household registration police station is not far from the community. It only takes more than 10 minutes to walk. It is also troublesome to take a car with 4 babies. So Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi went out with 2 strollers as before. Along the way, they attracted a lot of people's attention. Lin Feng and his friends have long been accustomed to this kind of look. Arrived at the certificate processing hall, Lin Feng brought the baby to the household registration window. Who are you? We are here to register the baby. Lin Feng said bluntly. These are all your children? Yes. After Lin Feng's affirmative answer, the window staff showed surprised expressions. And the people around also began to whisper. Oh my god, they are quadruplets. That's amazing, and the parents look very young. Yes, they are very good looking, the boys are sunny and handsome, and the girls are young and beautiful. No wonder they gave birth to 4 such cute babies. Everyone around showed envious eyes. After all, who doesn't want their children to be so cute? Facing the praise, Lin Feng was still very happy in his heart, but he still looked calm on the surface. He took out the ID of the 2 and handed it to the window staff. The staff took the ID, looked at the information on it, and couldn't help but admire. Only 20 years old. Young people nowadays are really getting more and more amazing. Soon, Lin Feng completed the registration of the baby. The people around saw that Lin Feng and the others were leaving, and they all showed reluctant expressions. I wish I could take the 4 babies home secretly. Because they are so cute. After returning home, Lin Feng was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. At this moment, the sound of the system came. Ling. Because the host registered the baby and fulfilled his father's responsibility, he will be rewarded with 100,000 yuan in cash. Reward God-level cooking skill. God-level cooking, with a skill, the host can obtain a level that is no less than that of a Michelin 3-star chef. Hearing the voice of the system, Lin Feng was stunned for a moment. But soon, he continued to chop vegetables. With God-level cooking skills, Lin Feng could clearly feel that his cutting speed was much faster. It was as if he had opened up the Ren and Du meridians. Listening to the sound of clanging in the kitchen, Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but walk in and looked at Lin Feng in surprise. She found that Lin Feng, who was cooking today, seemed a little different from usual. Hubby, do you want my help? No, you go out and wait, I'll make you a big meal tonight. Zhang Yuxi nodded and went back to the living room to watch TV. Not long after, a tempting fragrance floated out of the kitchen. It smells so good. Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but sigh. She was not very hungry at first, but when she smelled this smell, her stomach started to growl. With a rumbling sound of the range hood, Lin Feng showed his prowess in the kitchen. Half an hour later, 3 dishes and a soup were ready. Looking at the delicious dishes on the table, Zhang Yuxi's saliva almost flowed out. She picked up the chopsticks and couldn't help but took a bite, and immediately exclaimed in admiration. Wow! Hubby, your cooking skills are getting better and better. You're almost catching up with Michelin chefs. It's really delicious. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's satisfied look, Lin Feng couldn't help but joked, if it tastes good, Eat more. You'll have to work hard tonight. Hearing what Lin Feng said, Zhang Yuxi's pretty face immediately blushed, and she said coquettishly without admitting defeat. Huh? It's not certain who will work hard in the end. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.